And it's time for Formula 1 weekend. Let's see. Yeah, British Grand Prix happened. Nothing to fucking talk about. So depressing. One more race when Lando Norris doesn't win. And race when the Mercedes wins. And even worse, a race when Lewis Hamilton also win. After not winning since Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia 2021, he's have now won a race. The winless streak have ended. Let's see, 1,901, 2,700. So we have, I believe, 799 fishes need to be collected. Let's see. Yeah. So, but hopefully it will be the last win for Mercedes and maybe last win in his Formula 1 career. Hopefully. I mean, it will be really funny and really depressing for him if the Ferrari stuff will not give him any win and Mercedes keep getting better. So even Kym Antonelli wins in Mercedes. I mean, that would be something. That Kym Antonelli wins earlier in a Mercedes than Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari. But yeah, so let's see. Let's see, where do we have it? There we have it. Here we have the Autosport. Their stuff for Formula 1. The Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's see what they say. Wide road domination potential over. Potential over. I mean, define. I mean, what is over? I mean, somehow they succeed in ending the race P2 when Max Verstappen felt like a P4, P5 is probably the best we can end, and then they on P2. I would say McLaren apparently can't win a race for some reason. Either if it's because Lando Norris can't drive the car good enough, or McLaren is bad enough. Eller just bad. Mercedes will probably not do anything to like stop the domination. So if McLaren would have won some, like the last, yeah, was it the last race? It must be the last race, and this last race, the race before the British Grand Prix, and then the British Grand Prix. Then I would say more like the domination is over. But now it's like they have missed so many wins now. And Mercedes have felt like being closer to a win than McLaren, so I would say no, but hey, let's see what the Autosport have to say. Let's see, when do the Rebel Strong and other sim strength? Okay. Rebel upgrade, launch and Rebel press 100 points clause. Plan push the podium. learning to win, so only McLaren. I hope the Ferrari upgrade will be good. Well, let's see. Loud.
Well, after a bombastic triple header featuring overtakes, drama, collisions, and that record-breaking victory for Lewis Hamilton,
nobody cares.
a week off sees us now return.
And all for people that are probably not fans about on football, but man, it can end. It can have ended really bad in football also. Yeah, we have Great Britain or maybe England versus Spain. Who will be the champion? And luckily, they didn't become the champion. Spain took it away with a amazing save by not the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper saved the first shot. Then another player in the Spain stood in the goal line and what's that called? He used his head to say nick the ball out and saved Spain from letting a goal. The ball into the goal. Letting Britain eller England make a goal. So, and it's like, I don't know, 50 years ago they won that champion last time. So happily it didn't happen and Spain took it, and I mean that will be so depressing. First Lewis Hamilton win a race that people talk, I mean, Toto Wolff, a fairy tale. I don't know why he's talking about that. He doesn't care about stats and what the Wikipedia say. So I don't know why he's talking about a fairy tale. But at least it ended there and Spain could celebrate something in the football. And maybe the rest of the world. But yeah, let's see.
And to racing at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and with it one of those circuits that's one of the most technical and tyre shredding.
And oh my god, after this win, so much cope about Mercedes will probably happen now. So depressing.
On the calendar. Well, let's have a look at the points as we head into this one. Well, leading the way, as we know.
And this is the most amazing thing that I realized after the race. Lewis Hamilton, even if he won, George Russell DNF'd, he's still behind him. I mean, what the fuck is this? How can you win a race and the points you get is still behind your teammate and it doesn't even get you even ahead the other people? Like in Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull. I mean, you're just going further away Alonso. But he was not the person you did fight with. So I mean, that's something. And hopefully Russell will keep Lewis Hamilton behind.
Max Verstappen is there, 255 points, but the gap is starting to come down. Lando Norris in second on 171. Then it's Charles Leclerc and Carlos.
Well, sure, Lando Norris may be getting closer, but man, he's still don't win a race for some reason. It's like he have now won a race. So now he doesn't need to win another race.
Sainz Jr. following him up, then Oscar Piastri. Sergio Perez down in 6th on 118 points. George Russell next.
God, Perez had a bad race. At least he had a bad race with Charles Leclerc. But man, hopefully he will. Nope, that's not a new fish for the collection. But they looked one. Instead of white, it looked like light grey. But Perez need to... I mean, I've seen some stuff about Tsunoda talking about if it will be weird Liam Lawson get the Red Bull seat, he should have the seat. I mean, probably. But how they talk, I mean, I feel like if they promote Liam Lawson, Ricciardo will go, and Tsunoda will still stay, and Perez will, I don't know, happily stay in Red Bull, but and maybe that makes Max Verstappen be gonna stay also. I don't know. But man, I don't think Tsunoda or Liam Lawson will probably not be promoted to Red Bull. Oh, first fish for today. Clayfish, pink cyan. No, pink cyan. Not. Yeah. Let's. Let's. I mean, I record you like if he maybe start doing some good stuff, but it's like maybe you should just leave Red Bull again. Maybe get a better deal with Stake F1 team Kick Sauber so he can be in Audi when Audi comes in, or joins Williams for a great future. Maybe not. What more team? Is it that the only teams? Let's see. Where do we have teams? There, teams. Let's see. So, oh my god, they don't. Fuck me. Okay. Williams. I mean, Alpine could maybe happen. Oh, that's something news. If we go to news latest. Where do we have it? Yeah, Magnusson leaves Haas in the end of 2024. So the seat will be 100% open for Esteban Ocon, probably. I mean, I don't see Williams or Audi wanna take Esteban Ocon. I mean, they can't say they will have a good driver, but man, they don't. They want good teammates, good people that can have the team. Oh shit! It's the team. I thought it was just the one person. That's why it's just, what is it? 10 cars. Yeah. So Williams or Stake F1 team Kick Sauber could Ricciardo join. But I mean, it sounds so much that they want to promote Liam Lawson. They don't want to promote Daniel Ricciardo to Red Bull. The talk about Yuki Tsunoda getting promoted to Red Bull is like nobody talks about that. So it's like, if you want to promote Liam Lawson, why keep Daniel Ricciardo? I mean, he can just go to Williams or Stake F1 team Kick Sauber. Man, Haas, and that's something to talk about. Haas being, I mean, they make some great partnership with the Ferrari, but Toyota would maybe join Haas in some way. So if that happens, or more like if Esteban Ocon joins Haas with Oliver Behrman, Gene Haas should really think about selling the team to Toyota or whatever team they want to buy them, because after this season Haas will be really bad. Not the car, but the people that are driving. I mean, Esteban Ocon can maybe succeed with something, but yeah, Oliver Behrman will probably succeed with less stuff, and they will just I mean, Nico Hülkenberg is the one that are leading the team now. He's like getting the points and doing everything that he should do. Oliver Bearman will probably not do that. He will be worse. He will be worse than Kevin Magnussen, and Esteban Ocon could maybe be better than Kevin Magnussen. So it's like the peak that Kevin Magnussen, Hülkenberg is bringing the team will not be the same when Esteban Ocon and Oliver Bearman.
Next, and Lewis Hamilton after him, just 1 point back on 110. Then it's Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, Nico Hülkenberg there as well, and Yuki Tsunoda in 12th. All the way down the order you see, still yet to score, is Zhou Guanyu, Logan Sargent, and Valtteri Bottas. And when we look at the constructors, well, it is Red Bull leading.
No, don't say. Is Valtteri Bottas behind Logan Sargent now? No, he is. Why is he behind Logan Sargent? Really? I need to have we need to have some real information here. Yeah, it's true. Even this list say that too. So Valtteri Bottas is behind Logan Sargent in points. How the fuck did that happen?
In the way, 373 points there, only 71 ahead of Ferrari, who are only 7 ahead of McLaren. Mercedes are making some points up now, 221 for them. Then it's Aston Martin in 5th, RB in.
Man, oh my god, that's sad. The fuck? Wait, Jürgen Yu is. Oh my god, the hype! Jürgen Yu is he's not lost. He's above Logan Sargent and Bottas. The hype to keep him for joining Alpine. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna remove this guy, like they already done, and then just promote Jürgen Yu to Alpine, and then they can become Lotus in the future. Lotus Chinese Formula 1 team with Jürgen Yu. Or Mick Schumacher. Jürgen Yu or Mick Schumacher hopefully will join Alpine. And hopefully not Jack Doohan.
In 6th, Haas, Alpine, Williams, and Sauber still yet to score. Well, joining me to preview the Grand Prix and have a look at some of the most recent news, I'm delighted to welcome John Noble and Sam Hall. First of all, John, how are you getting on?
Yeah, better actually. Triple header was a bit brutal.
I don't think it's noble.
I must admit, sure. Slightly Groundhog Day to have 3 race weekends of going seeing the same people in.
Hopefully, if they will talk about Mercedes and anything about they winning in Great Britain, hopefully they mention how they lost in football, please.
Virtually identical looking paddocks asking the same questions that has Carlos signed his deal yet, and the answer being no again. But we'll get there. One day I'll go into the paddock and they'll say yes he has, and we'll have the answer. But rolling on for now.
Crazy thought that Carlos Sainz will finally sign a contract somewhere. Sam, how are you?
Oh yeah, that stuff. So nothing has still happened. So it will be 2 weeks now, and nothing still have happened. That's interesting. The only happened that Kevin Magnussen will not be in house. That I didn't see as something that will not happen. Something that I thought will 100% happen, because why would you want to keep Kevin Magnussen?
How are you getting on after? Silverstone was a good race, but how are you getting on since then?
It was not.
Yeah, it's all good.
It will have been amazing race. I mean, it will be somewhat amazing if Max Verstappen had won the race, to make all the British fans paying for a race and just see Max Verstappen winning it again, and hearing the Netherlands national anthem again, or a true fairy tale. Lando Norris wins his second win in Formula 1 at that race, but nothing of that happened, and sadly we had a Lewis Hamilton victory.
I was a bit of an idiot and decided to go to Goodwood for the.
No, back to ads. No. Okay. Also, we need to turn off the sound so we can really skip that. And one more ad, and then we can go back to Autosport. Talking about whatever they were talking about.
I was a bit of an idiot and decided to go to Goodwood for the weekend off of motorsport. Let's go to Goodwood and have more motorsport. So I could have made better decisions, but it was a good weekend out. So you know.
Oh shit! For people that probably also don't care, IndyCar happened last weekend. Man, that 2 races when nothing happened. Like Monaco twice. The only interesting that happened that weekend was the second race ending. It's like nothing happened. The last lap, the last corner, we have a big crash. And a car flying, other cars crashing into each other, and it's like, fuck is happening? From nothing in 1 hour and 30 minutes or whatever to like 30 seconds of a big crash. Like what?
Well, I love Goodwood, but I think Goodwood Festival of Speed can almost be a non-motorsport event. It's a kind of an all things, isn't it, event? It's a fantastic event, and I'm a big fan of the revival, which comes up in September. Anyway, let's move on to Formula One then, because we are going to discuss the preview for the Hungarian Grand Prix, but also a bit of the news that's been going on. I think we should really set it off really with how teams are looking at this stage, halfway point in the season. And I'm going to have a quick look at my notes here, because if we look at the recent form, say take the first 6 races and then the next 6 races, the last 6 races of the big 4, that's Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren and Ferrari. Have a look at the points. It's really interesting. The first 6 races.
This is the great, beautiful start. Even greater, fuck Mercedes. Slightly good, somewhat bad, depressing, beautiful, super depressing, slightly bad. The fuck happened?
Red Bull scored 239 points, Ferrari 187, McLaren 124, and Mercedes somehow just 64 points. Then you look at the last 6 Grand Prix.
Somehow. Don't you understand? Do you take so much copium that you don't understand why Mercedes succeeded so poorly? Okay, sure.
McLaren 171 points, Mercedes 157 points, Red Bull in 3rd place with 134, and then Ferrari in 4th place and 115. It's a huge, huge swing. And if you look at Red Bull, they've suffered the biggest downturn since Imola. That's the biggest difference between the first 6 races points scored and the second 6 races.
Do something.
What's happened to their superior car advantage as this season hit Europe? What do you think has been going on, John?
I think there's 2 factors at play here. First is Checo Perez.
True.
I think you have to look at his lack of contribution to the points. I think weird. I'm correct, but this is off the top of my head. So probably if I'm wrong, people.
I mean, look, sorry, I don't know what if. Let's see. What is the stats? Okay, the wrong place. Long Sergeant versus Logan Sergeant, yeah, versus Press. Let's see, can we get information? Five times during his time in Formula 1. This was 2 months ago. Either way, Loisar is maybe keeping the seat because he's out qualifying Loisar at a Perez.
Comment on this, but I think it's 15 points from the last 6 races. I think that's the stats, which isn't good enough for a team like Red Bull. It's why his future's been put in question marks. He needs to contribute more. Christian Horner said it's unsustainable to carry on. So you've got one element of his contributions shot down massively, because if you add 60, 70 points to those totals, which even then isn't really good enough, suddenly that picture looks very, very different. So you've got that. But then you've also got to look at the progress of the other teams, or not in the case of Ferrari. So McLaren made that step in Miami.
Progress? Have Ferrari done any progress? I feel like they are falling back.
Obviously Lando won that race. Those developments have lifted that car to arguably be the consistently fastest we've seen for the past few races. They won Miami. I mean, the slight change of circumstances. They could have won Imola, could have won Monaco, could have won Canada, could have won Spain, could have won Silverstone. So you've got a lot of factors there.
Man, it's people with Mercedes will have so much cope now of the 2 wins. When Lando Norris will have 100% won the Austrian race, and could maybe have won 100% the Silverstone race. But because he didn't, now the Mercedes fans can have so much copium about how good Mercedes is now.
Them forwards. So Mercedes, unlocked something from their car around Monaco time. Canada both had it on the wing. They could have and should have won Canada. Then obviously Austria, they're helped by the collision. Russell won that. Hamilton won Silverstone. So they've come on form now, and we'll see this weekend.
True.
Do they now have a faster package than McLaren? Could be, maybe not. We'll find out. So they've come on, and at the same time, Ferrari introduced this new floor in Spain, ticked all the boxes in delivering more downforce, lots of potential from the wind tunnel and CFD, but in reality, it was unusable downforce. High-speed bounce was back, performance dropped away.
And also, the fuck happened with Russell's car? Man, can it? That would be so amazing. Russell White trying to overtake Lewis Hamilton, makes so he crash out, and then laps after he needs to DNF because his car is broken. Man, wouldn't that be amazing? Or a fight between Russell and Lewis Hamilton in the end, and then on the last lap they both crash out and Max Verstappen wins. Oh, it could have been so amazing, but nothing happened.
So they've hit some trouble.
Sadly.
So you've got all these cumulative factors have come together to shake things up, and have left us quite an intriguing rest of the season, I think.
No, fuck that.
It certainly has. I mean, with Red Bull, if we stick with Red Bull for a moment, and you touch upon...
Until Lewis Hamilton leaves, then they can pick him better than Ferrari. Please. And then Ferrari... Yeah, the years 2019 and 2020 can Ferrari become when Lewis Hamilton joins it.
Checo Perez's performance, the language around Red Bull has changed a fair bit. I mean, Checo, you rightly say about his points. I think it's 11 points since he signed his contract extension, his 1+1 2-year, whatever you want to call it, contract extension. So, Sam, looking at Red Bull, looking at Checo Perez, looking at the yips that they're now saying he's got, and looking at what they're going to do, it is interesting to see how the language around Red Bull has changed regarding Perez, whereas before he seemed to be almost bulletproof with them saying, look, we're happy with our lineup.
Yeah, it's weird because he signed the contract, and as Christian Horner said, that was expected to give him the confidence so that he could then progress and he could push on from what was really a strong start to the season, just like he had last year. But then since then, the results, as John said, 15 points in 6 races. It isn't good enough, and the language has gradually got. It was sort of originally committal and like we're going to stick with him. He's bulletproof, as you say, but it's gradually gone to almost now. He's seemingly out of a seat. I don't think many people would now go. He's got that seat for himself. So.
Well, that's if Max Verstappen has something to say, maybe. Keep Perez and you will keep me. Kick Perez and I will leave. I mean, if that's is an option, then Perez will be staying in Red Bull forever.
It's a very weird position that they're in that we now have this hold up again in the driver market when we thought things were just about sorted, and now we've got this.
What do you mean sorted? Everyone is waiting on Carlos Sainz. Nothing sorted there. You know, Williams have not said who will be driving. Stake on Team Kick Sauber have not said anything. Alpine have not said anything. Let's see. Yeah, Haas have said Kevin Magnussen will not be in Haas. And Oliver Berman will be there. But not who will sit in the other car.
This cork in the bottle of Perez in...
Oh, Mercedes haven't said anything who will sit in that car. What the fuck do you mean? Like, Perez have maybe done nothing about the driver market. He probably done least stuff. Because Red Bull have Liam Lawson. It's like he will do nothing in the other teams.
Arguably the best seat going, where we don't know who's going to go. There could Carlos Sainz be a...
He will... I don't... Why would that happen? Why do people have this copium about Carlos Sainz that he will... Like, yeah, you upgrading Perez to Carlos Sainz. Is that really worth the money? Or is it more worth to just keep Perez then?
A last minute replacement in there. I don't think...
And also just Verstappen hates apparently everyone except Max Verstappen, so Carlos Sainz and he's dead. Why would that go well with just Verstappen?
So personally, because you've got the issues with Sainz Senior and Verstappen Senior, and there's not a dearth of talent in the Red Bull pool at the moment that you could argue is ready for F1, aside from the seemingly obvious of Liam Lawson. But do you put him in RB first, or do you put him in Red Bull? It's a very difficult question that they're going to have to find an answer to.
If we look at upgrades and things as well, John, I mean, what are Red Bull doing upgrades-wise to try to kick themselves on? Or do they not really need to do much? Is it just a case of things will fall when the circuits on the calendar suddenly come back to them? Is it something like that?
It will.
No, I think they do need upgrades. I think they're pushing on. There's a bit of intrigue at Silverstone because they bought this new floor that Verstappen trashed in qualifying and had to kind of put the spare on the car. Now, Helmut Marko said on Saturday, I think he said to Sky Germany, it was worth, it was 6 downforce points, which was 0.05 seconds. Because they were trying to compare it to, Verstappen losing 100 points of downforce when he ran off at Copse. So if that was correct, and that shows quite an intriguing kind of ceiling of development on the car, but shows how much stuff's trailing off. So I asked Christian Horner this on Sunday night, saying that, is this a sign, these 6 points of downforce you've gained, that, developments are levelling off and you're struggling to find gains? And he disputed the 6 was correct. He said, how would Helmut Marko know? I did suggest that he actually worked for the team and was their motorsport advisor, but it was given short shrift. So I think they do need to keep pushing on. We've seen them focus a lot on kind of, say, less obvious areas like cooling vents and all this sort of thing, which seem really, I think I read a piece a few weeks ago, it's really boring upgrades in terms of we'll have.
It was a great piece, by the way. It wasn't a boring piece. Just going to put that out there very quickly. Instead of terms of having 2 cooling vents or 3 cooling vents or how you close off holes and stuff, it's not the sort of, doesn't get as excited as, radical front wings or side pod water flumes and all that sort of thing. But as Paul Monaghan, the chief engineer, said, it's really critical if you can minimise, as hot
hot swirling air coming out from the engine and affecting the diffuser, rear wing, etc. There's a lot of performance to be had. So I think they are pushing on. I think they need some steps. And I think they've realised there's only a contribution of Max Verstappen's driving brilliance and a team that's pretty kind of bulletproof in terms of not making strategic errors or pit stop errors in races. And if you
maybe not when Max Verstappen is driving. Oh wait, they did in Austria. They did mistakes. But I feel like every time they try and do something with Perez, it looked like a mistake.
look at Austria, for example, the whole event was turned, and Lando got himself into a position to challenge Max, which triggered the set of circumstances at the end of the collision by a rare botched pit stop from Red Bull. And the fact, circumstances outside of Red Bull's control, it clouded over, the track temperature dropped, the hard tyre wasn't any good, they'd pinned their...
Well, for Charles Leclerc, it was good for George Russell, so... But that you don't mention with your copium, that's weird.
Their weekend and having the advantage of the new hard for the race, had to go to a used medium, and it was kind of his fate was sealed at that point. So they need pushing on. They know they need a quicker car, and I'm sure we're going to rock up one Thursday or Friday morning at a race, and there'll be some very different parts on it.
Will a part be a different driver? Now, just going to this question that Sam just brought up as well about Liam Lawson. He did that test, didn't he, at Silverstone? 200 kilometres was what he could do for the filming day. Timing is always interesting with these things. I know it was in the diary for quite some time, but is Liam Lawson a likely replacement for Sergio Perez? And is Sergio Perez likely to be replaced?
I think he will replace Daniel Ricciardo more likely than Sergio Perez. That if Daniel Ricciardo doesn't do any good job
this current season, John.
I think it all depends on how Checo does these next two races. I think
or Daniel Ricciardo.
The pressure's been made pretty clear to him that the situation isn't good enough. The situation needs to change. I think it wasn't coincidence that kind of the Lawson... I mean, Christian said the test had been arranged for months, the aero test, the filming day, but I'm not convinced Liam Lawson's part in that was nailed for quite some time. But I think it was fairly obvious that news came out on a weekend just as a bit of a G-up to Checo to say you need to pull your finger out, do something better. So then, of course...
I mean, it could be for Daniel Ricciardo also.
Of course, when he binned it in qualifying, worst possible thing he could have done. Another non-score weekend. So I think, understanding the contract clause, this 100 points, supposed 100 points deficit to Max that will give the team the route out of the contract if they want it. So I think he's got 2 races now to save his F1 career. If he can sort out his problems, if he can bring home the points, and he doesn't have to challenge Max, doesn't have to beat Max, just has to bring it home. 5 seconds behind Max, finish second, finish third on the podium. Just make sure Red Bull's constructors' points are rolling on. He'll keep his seat. If he doesn't perform, if it's 2 more races...
Oh, well, if Mercedes and McLaren is better, then he will finish best 6th. So what are you talking about? 100% Red Brinley. So 3rd and 2nd will probably never happen now.
Lackluster performances. Red Bull's constructors' position looks even more precarious as we head to summer break. Then I've got absolutely no doubt they'll be looking elsewhere. And then it is a tough choice. Daniel Ricciardo was supposed to be Red Bull's comfort blanket. If things didn't work with Checo, he was the one that could come in and sort it. But he's not really performed well enough for RB, so he's not an obvious one to step up. Lawson is...
not good enough for RB, that's...
inexperienced, he's young, there's always that risk of slotting someone in alongside...
Yeah, so why not? That could happen. Well, Ricciardo needs to move then. Liam Lawson into RB... No, Vista Cash App RB Formula 1 team. If Perez keeping bad next season, Liam Lawson will get promoted. And if he's worse, maybe Perez can go back then.
Max Verstappen and them getting completely mentally destroyed.
And Daniel Ricciardo can be the 3rd driver in Red Bull. The one that are doing all the... Maybe what Liam Lawson is doing now. What's that called? The simulation driving.
And then you've ruined their F1 career. But someone inside Red Bull told me that they've never seen someone as single-minded with self-belief and confidence in himself as Liam Lawson. So if anyone...
So Daniel Ricciardo is not on the list. So maybe just switch Liam Lawson and Daniel Ricciardo then. So Daniel Ricciardo can do something else.
One is able to cope with the pressures that could come from Max Verstappen and deliver more, then I think Lawson's probably their number one choice.
Going to move this on, but before I do, very quickly, Sam, on this 100 points clause that's in his contract, as John says there very nicely, that
points.
you know, if there's 100 points as the gap for the clause, if he finishes behind Max Verstappen,
100 points. Let's see how it's looking now. 100 points. Do we have any? Okay, 255. Perez have 118. So can it be more than 100 points between them? Hopefully.
and he's more than 100 points behind him right now, so he's clearly not going to make up unless something bizarre happens to Max Verstappen. He's not going to bring that gap down to 100 points. But is it just signs that Red Bull need, that he's turned this corner and he's now getting low podiums, fourth places, that sort of thing?
I think if he might get a stay of execution if he's on the podium, as you say, because that is showing that he
But, man, I hate this fucking so many talking points that just doesn't look at other people, other teams and stuff. They already mentioned that in the beginning, that McLaren and Mercedes are now scoring more points and are better than maybe Red Bull. I mean, if that's true and the domination of Red Bull is gone, he can't finish in the podium.
He is there or thereabouts, but it depends on how far he is behind Max as well. If he's 30 seconds off of Max but still on the podium, is that really an improvement? Because really that just says the other teams have had an off day that are in there as well. So I think he has a lot to prove, and I do agree with John that Lawson is really the driver that you would put in that car next to Max.
I would believe you will put... I mean, if you don't believe in Ricciardo so much... What the fuck is happening? I think this is the second time I see this. Man, it's zombies is like... But if you don't believe Ricciardo getting promoted to Red Bull, why even keep in a Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team? Just put a little Lawson there.
Because what's he got to lose? Lawson essentially has a free hit for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, he can try out in Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team first.
Can't imagine he would be worse than Perez has been of late. It would not surprise me if we arrive back from the summer break and we see Liam Lawson in that car.
Sounds like it's
Don't believe
almost
that,
stacked against
can
Sergio
happen.
Perez now to retain that seat. But you know, it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm not a big fan of watching somebody suffer as much as he is, because you think mentally he must be going through the ringer the whole time. And I don't like that. I know it's sport and that's the way it is. It's the way of the world. He gets paid very handsomely for what he does. But there's something.
Man, so let's see. Jogan Yu doesn't have a good Formula 1 season. Logan Sargent doesn't 100% don't have a good season. Charles Leclerc, you can say, yeah, not a good season. Who more? Valtteri Bottas doesn't have a great season. Who more? Daniel Ricciardo doesn't have a great season, you can say. Alonso, maybe you can. Lewis Hamilton didn't have a great start of this season. Norris, you can say, had a bad start, good middle, and now going bad because he doesn't succeed to win any races. So yeah, many people in this sport that are struggling in Formula 1.
Thing about it, I think, you know, you just kind of somehow need to ease off him a little bit, and maybe Liam Lawson stepping in the car for a bit would help, or maybe it ramp up the pressure. Maybe you need to get Ricciardo or Tsunoda in so that Perez could drop down into RB. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's very, very tricky. What about McLaren then? Zach Brown has said that they are now ready to go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, they're ready. After not winning 2 races in a row that they could maybe 100% have done
with Red Bull in this championship fight. But are they at McLaren,
No.
which is, I always say this, but just up the road from me, I
They
pass
should
them pretty much
be,
every day.
but they aren't.
Are they really ready for a championship fight, John?
Nope. Tomorrow. Okay, go away. Add 10 more seconds. 12 it was. Next season, I believe, Lando Norris will bring some championship fight.
Smidig rak.
Oh, fuck me. Okay, 5 seconds. Can we?
Och exfoliering i varje drag. Med rakblad som håller 50%
Well, we
längre.
can.
I think they've got the car. I think the car's ready. I think what the experience they're going through at the moment is kind of learning how to win again.
Yeah, learning how to win again. Learning how to not fuck up, I would say. Being more clearly in what you want. Believe in that, in the stuff you have. And just say, no, we don't need to do... I don't know if Lando Norris would have won the race if he went for the medium tires. But he could have. And it's like knowing when I go for what you've already collected, like that information you've collected, when I go, I'm gonna keep going with it and don't think about what other people are doing. That I would say is needed to either be learned or yeah, have the... What the fuck can you say? But it's like learning to win. I don't know, it's more than that.
And I think they've been thrust this year into a totally different...
But my point is, this is the learning season. Next season will be more a fight between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. And hopefully no fucking Mercedes up there.
area where when you're fighting for 4th and 5th and 6th places and potential podiums, you make you pit 1 lap too late on a changeable race, your strategy is slightly out, no one particularly notices, it falls under the radar, team can go home quietly, analyse it, back at the factory and you come back in. When you're fighting for wins, everything's much more in the spotlight.
True.
The detail that we all pour into to analyse where races are won and lost and the small contributing factors. There's so much more intense focus in every single decision you made, and I think this run of races they could have won. I think a lot.
So learning to believe in themselves, you can say, was my point. Believing in themselves. I'm not learning to win. The fuck does that say? Nothing. Learning to believe that information you have is the correct one. Fuck Mercedes, and just go with your own information.
A lot of them it's just not down to what I'd call obvious mistakes on the day, but it's just strategy decisions that are made, and sometimes they go your way, sometimes they don't. There's an element of luck in it. There's an element of consideration, and the information that you're accessing at the time needs to be better for these things to happen. But I think you rerun those races again with the same decisions from McLaren, and equally they could have won 3, they could have won 5, they could have won none. So this is just the way of Formula 1. I think Silverstone's a slightly different case, because I think it was obvious they did make mistakes there. I think not double stacking Piastri, for example.
That was like if you didn't want to lose time behind Lando Norris, just Piastri drive slowly. Make him brake more than he maybe should have done in the pit lane. Made so Russell or Lewis Hamilton that was behind needed to brake more, and then they will have a bad pit stop. And then you can then Oscar Piastri can also fight for something in the race.
And the tyre choice at the end were probably things that were fairly obvious at the time that they should have done those better. But I think this is all the process that they're going through. It's things they are working on and addressing. And I think the difference between the calls they're making not winning and the calls they're making allowing them to win is so minor and takes just the tiniest change of circumstances that I've got no doubt that they're in the position to win. They've got the mentality to do it. They know where they need to kind of pull their socks up and do better.
Well, you can say they don't have the mentality to win because they haven't win. They have the car to win, not the information to win.
So I think they are in the hunt. Championship may be a stretch too far. It's going to depend on
Next
Red Bull
season.
falling down. But I think consistently now in the fight for wins, and the championship ultimately will take care of itself and could well depend on how, if Mercedes taking points off Red Bull and if Ferrari can get back in the mix as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Lando Norris's language has changed a bit. He's now demanding wins and demanding more performance. I think we all watched it. And we won't do a Silverstone review because you've already done that. But not opting for the medium tyre when you had it to hand, I thought that was a bizarre move when it happened. When I was watching that, and thought, well, you've got it. Why are you not using it? It seemed a bit odd. It played right.
Yeah, and that's something like believing in the information. The medium tires should be better than go for the red tires that Lewis Hamilton did. And then you can push more. But nope, equally bad tires, and then nothing happened.
Right into the hands
But
of Red
I think
Bull.
but I think you also have to understand that sometimes you make decisions in races. If you go back to Austin last year, I know Lewis was disqualified for the plank at the end of the day, but they were in a race not realising who they were racing and that they were racing for the win. So they basically gave away track position to Max Verstappen.
That was so amazing. They didn't think they were driving for a win. And then they realized, holy shit, we couldn't maybe have won this race. But then the plank happened, and that would be something. Win a race and then you get disqualified.
They thought they weren't racing him, and then ultimately lost the race because of it, ignoring the plank element. But there are, even the top teams make these kind of decisions in races that you have the benefit of hindsight when you look back afterwards. But at the time, it's all about the consistency of making decisions, and those decisions proving to be right. It's something you've got to learn over time. It doesn't come naturally, and it's all part of the brilliance of it all. And this is why Lewis Hamilton, I think, was so emotional after Silverstone, and it shows the value of winning and how tough and hard and difficult it is to execute everything and to come out on top.
Yeah, I loved.
Okay, that race didn't look so difficult. You have the other team fucking up, and Max Verstappen didn't have a good car. I mean, it could have been so much difficulty. I mean, George Russell could have still been in the race. Lando Norris can maybe not fucked up the stuff. And Max Verstappen can also not ruin his floor, so he can be good in the race also. So I mean, I like saying the Silverstone 2021 race was really difficult for Lewis Hamilton, because the only one they could actually do a fight against him was out of the race. It's like, wow, that must be really difficult race to.
Loved his response. I think Lewis Hamilton over the years has been well, many people say, oh, it's not really real, he's doing this for the cameras and stuff like this, and what he does to the teams.
Oh, I don't remember what he said about the team, but every time he finished somewhat good in that race, keep pushing. I believe in this team, at least for this season. Next season will be in Ferrari.
There's a lot of cynicism, but I just loved his response at Silverstone. I thought it was absolutely fantastic to see proper emotion. Him and his dad, him and the fan.
Yeah, I wonder why. British bias? Question mark. Fuck this.
And him and his team. It was a brilliant thing. On McLaren, then
yeah,
Sam. Their language has changed a bit as well. As John's saying, I mean, Zach Brown has been saying that there's slightly differences. Andrea Stella's been saying things as well.
Oh my god, you're talking about fucking McLaren and you mentioned Mercedes like you were talking about Mercedes. Disgusting.
Almost saying that we're quite calm here. It's a nice problem to have that we're now fighting for victories and we're missing them, but it's a much
like in the car. Well, at least some races ago they actually won a race. And yeah, the only proper win you can say in a long time. Oh shit, they won more races in IndyCar than they had done in Formula 1. That you can say is maybe depressing.
nicer problem than not being able to get near the front row.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, or even just last year, even possibly earlier this season, McLaren were happy to be on the podium. A podium was like a win to them, and a win was just
like for Mercedes also.
Next level. So yeah, they do have arguably the fastest car. I think we're still on the fence to whether it's the McLaren, maybe even the Mercedes or the Red Bull now, which is the fastest. But they have that car, and what John was saying about the strategic decisions, they could have looked like absolute heroes at Silverstone had the rain been just enough so that Oscar could get around the track and he would come out in the lead. We've seen it before where cars will be left out an extra lap and they're suddenly miles ahead. Obviously this didn't play out that way, but it's that knife edge, the hero to zero, that McLaren are now playing on. Personally, I think it's really exciting that we've got a multitude of teams at the front. It's what we always want. No one likes it when there's one team running away.
Ferrari are another team
nobody likes, except British people maybe,
that are helping create the drama because they've removed themselves from the gene pool somewhat to allow the others to come on a bit, haven't they, John? I mean, they had these upgrades and then they had to take an upgrade off the car, and as Carlos Sainz said, it's put them back essentially 2 to 3 months of development because of the way it's gone. What's happening at Ferrari? Do they have any chance of recovering themselves back up the order to put them back to that second position as they were at the start of the season?
I think
No. 15 seconds, go away. We don't need that. I mean, you can hope Ferrari will be back. And I feel like they most likely will be back. But man, they have a bad time.
Second position as they were at the start of the season?
I think key is what they've learned at the factory since the British Grand Prix. There's been kind of no official word yet on what their plans are for Hungary, but I think what we do understand, it revolves around this flaw and I think this is the same problem we see multiple teams have with these cars, is that you get this theoretical downforce that you can get from the wind tunnel. All your figures are pointing in one direction, but you bolt it on the car and the downforce is unusable because it puts the car in a region where it can't operate. You get this high-speed bouncing problem, the drivers lose confidence, it affects the tyre wear, and it's just this kind of vicious circle where performance drops away. But then the key is trying to work out, where is this disconnect between what the factory's saying and what can be unleashed on track. And I think this is the element of success in these regulations. When you see the progress that McLaren has made with that car, once it understood what was needed, every step has been an improvement. It's chipping away and progressing. Mercedes seems to have found that kind of magic spark as well. It's now worked out.
Yeah, they have found what information to win a race, because it's unlike McLaren have lost races when they could have won, and Mercedes was there to take it. So can they still win a race if Max Verstappen is 100% on it and Landooooo is also 100% on it?
What needs to be done is pushing
and
on.
And your Russell's still in the race? Probably not.
Upgrades, doing everything's pushing it forwards, and Ferrari have hit this.
Yeah, we talk about. Wait.
Spark as well. It's now worked out what needs to be done. It's pushing on the upgrades. Doing everything's pushing it forwards, and Ferrari have hit this problem. And I think James Allison, when he gave those quite funny quotes in Canada talking about the Red Bull downgrade issue, he said the problem for any team is that if you bring an update to a car and it doesn't work, then you everything freezes because you need to understand what's gone wrong. Suddenly you have to start questioning all your tools and your elements. You're not sure if work that's already in progress.
So we need to listen on more on Mercedes when we're talking about Ferrari.
Putting you down the wrong path as well? So the consequences can be massive. This is why Carlos has talked about it being 2 or 3 months potential they could lose. So key is understanding, have they gone back to the factory, found the cause of the problem, worked out what it is, and remedial action is taken and they can sort it? Or are they still confused about what's gone wrong, confused about how to get the best out of it? And I think maybe the clearest indication will be what they do in Hungary. If they stick with a new floor, they've probably got answers. If they go back to the old floor, then there's probably a reset. And if they do a back-to-back comparison and split across the cars, they still have no answers, and that could be an even worse scenario. So, all eyes on what they say and we see Thursday, Friday.
That's been an alarming step back for them over the last few Grand Prix. And it's very typical Ferrari, isn't it? They show glimmers of promise and then they snatched defeat from the jaws of success. How many times have we said that over the years, or witnessed that over the years with Ferrari? Just staying on Ferrari for a second, Sam, we know that it's pulled them back a fair bit. Are they in the position as a team, with what they've got, with the tools, with the upheaval of not having having their second driver sorted out, but not having the second driver in the car being able to test, being Lewis Hamilton, I mean, of course, for 2025, because essentially Carlos Sainz is now going to be out the picture when it comes down to testing and development.
Yeah, it's not going to help them. I don't think Carlos will be frozen out as much as he could be, especially where there's only like one more year of development on these cars. So I don't think he'll be frozen out as he could be, but it won't help them. Charles will have to do a lot of the donkey work. But don't forget they've got their simulator drivers as well, who can also...
I mean, it's better that the car is good for Charles Leclerc than Carlos Sainz, so... Maybe this will make the car actually good.
So that it's hardly like they're starved of driving talent or potential to be testing this. As John says, it will be interesting to see how many answers they found going to Hungary, because obviously then we're into the shutdown period pretty quickly after that. So they will want to have answers by at the latest Monza, which, thinking an actual time that they could be spending working, there's not a lot of time to find these answers and get developments before their home race. So the clock really is ticking on Ferrari, and we'll get our first indication on how they're doing this weekend.
12 races in, 12 to go. The clock will be ticking on the number of Grand Prix left to turn the corner as well. One team that have turned the corner, or seem to have turned the corner, with 2 victories in the last 2 Grand Prix, John, is Mercedes. We saw George Russell. He won by default, didn't he, a couple of rounds ago? Then we saw Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, with also a default, you can say. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen wasn't
with a fantastic
100%.
Performance in the weather conditions that were just very exciting. That threw a lot of drama up. But are Mercedes now moving themselves into a position where they can challenge week in, week out?
I think that...
Or what Victor is now.
Something we'll understand a lot more after this weekend. Because I think you can argue that circumstances have slightly favoured them the last...
Yeah, it have. This fucking copium that people can have now. Hopefully it will get removed.
2 races. I mean, Austria, I think they were 2-3 tenths off still per lap. So, I mean, that win was... They were there, but equally the win was down to Lando and Max colliding. Silverstone, they locked out the front row, and Lewis obviously brilliant in mixed conditions and won. But we know the Mercedes strengths often in cooler conditions. Silverstone, thanks to the glorious British summer, was obviously a weekend that wasn't dominated by a heat wave. So I think we'll see a lot more this weekend in Hungary, which is proper heat wave territory.
Yeah, fuck
this time of year. So if they can maintain that performance, remember they've been on pole position in Budapest the last 2 years. So
yeah, last time Lewis Hamilton was on pole position, he lost it before the turn 1. was behind Max Verstappen.
The car clearly can perform quite well there. It's kind of speed range of corners, all quite similar, which is an area where Mercedes has been quite good at. If a track has the speed range all being quite similar, then they can nail it, because their problem's been balancing out the low speed performance versus high speed performance. So I think this weekend will define kind of where Mercedes are at. There's upgrades coming, step forward coming. They obviously understand now what they need to make these cars quick. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing how that fight shapes out at the front, because you've got, arguably 3 teams, Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, all, nothing to separate them. And Ferrari, if they can sort themselves out, potentially in that mix as well.
Be interesting to see if what Toto Wolff says, that it's all clicked. It wasn't one thing that's been the advantage. Things have just sort of clicked. They've understood a bit more what's been going on. A bit of a change in ethos, maybe, in the way they approach things. You mentioned upgrades. Do you know what the upgrades are that are coming, or what do you suspect?
No, I don't, because I think it's also telling about Mercedes' progress. Is that, I think they made a point recently of saying they wouldn't tell anybody what upgrades they're bringing, because we're now into the battle where any information your rivals get can be used to their advantage. So I think it's quite interesting that shows the situation they're in. Because also there's this, we understand there were some suspension changes made in Austria. You see that vanity panel on the nose with the little bump. I asked the team, can you just explain what were there some suspension changes? This little bump, and big smile on their face. No, it's just driver cooling, but clearly it isn't. So clearly they're into the realms now of incremental performance gains that are making the difference, and they don't want their rivals to know, which I think is perhaps an even clearer indication of where Mercedes thinks it is right now.
Digressing somewhat, I remember a race because I do British GT. I remember a race of British GT, and a team clearly ran out of fuel, and I went into their pit. I was in the pit garage when their car crossed the line and then just coughed to a stop, and I saw the reaction of the team, their chairs being thrown around, lots of loud voices being screamed at each other, and they said it was a fuel pump failure. And I said, really? They said, yeah. And I said, that's the line, is it? And they said, yep. And I saw the engineer 2 weeks later. I said, really? Fuel? He went, no, ran out of fuel. And I said, yeah, the failure was there was no fuel in the fuel pump. That was the issue, wasn't it? But it was that whole thing of, what they will tell you and the reality are very, very different things. And I'm not going to say the name of the team, by the way, because that would be unfair. It was a couple of years ago, Brands Hatch. You do the maths if you're that way inclined to go and have a look in British GT. Now, let's just move on to tyres. And actually, when we look at the order, we're not going to go into full detail on the other teams. Very quickly, Aston Martin, they seem to have turned a corner a bit. Are we expecting anything from them? Are they going to move themselves back up?
No. Aston Martin. It will be where Lawrence Stroll will waste his money on his son.
Into 5th place in the teams.
They've got an upgrade coming for Hungary. So they've had this problem with the upgrade that came at Imola. Almost a similar scenario to Ferrari. Wind tunnel, CFD said more downforce, bolted on the car, more downforce. But that downforce is unusable because it's made the car much trickier to drive on the edge when they're pushing, and this then triggers driver confidence problems. The drivers can't lean on the car, and performance isn't there. So they've been trying to kind of unpick that and unravel that. Some tracks have suited them better than others. Canada and Silverstone, by the looks of it. But this upgrade's coming. Obviously, Fernando Alonso, he's quite amusing now when you speak to him, because you're asking about the car and the progress. And he goes, oh, well, Mike Crack and Tom McCulloch have got a press conference now. Go and ask them. You ask them about the car. I'm just driving it. So he's clearly, I think, slightly frustrated by the situation, that the progress he'd hoped was happening hasn't happened so far. But I think a lot will now depend on the stopwatch in Hungary.
It will.
The car can do the talking. And if Fernando Alonso starts beaming about the car and start happy to talk about it again, we'll know they're back in good shape.
No matter what happens, if he gets an 8th or a 9th or a 7th, it'll probably be one of the best races he's ever raced, as we know with Fernando. God love him. Now let's talk about tyres then, Sam. And Hungary, they're going to bring the C3 to C.
I mean, if you drive many races and you doesn't even get points, then you get points. Could be the amazing feeling ever.
The C5, that's the softest in the range. We know it's a track that chews through tyres. So what are we expecting? 2-stop strategy in the main?
I'm hoping for some variety in strategy, to be honest. 2-stop, throw a 3-stop in there if someone's brave. Because if you save the soft tyres and you just go all guns blazing, then you're going to need the 3. But but we know that strategy differences make a good race. If everyone has a 2-stop, more or less everyone's going to stop on the same laps or same couple of laps as it is. So you might as well just have the 1-stop. So I'm hoping that we're going to see some variety. You're not going to. You might even see all 3 compounds on the starting grid, because you get safety cars here as well. So if you're at the back of the grid, bolt on a set of hard tyres and gamble on a safety car so you're at the front quite early on. And the hot weather that's coming as well, that's not going to help the tyres last either. So yeah, I'm hopeful.
Hot weather. Hopefully it will fuck Mercedes really bad. Like it didn't do in Great Britain, sadly.
That we're going to get a decent strategic battle here, and we'll see. We've mentioned the teams at the front. We'll see who can actually handle their tyres.
That would be so amazing. It will be so warm weather that no, not new fish for the collection. Depressing. But it will be so warm that the tires for the Mercedes car, it will be really bad, and I will be finished behind Ferrari. That will be amazing. From all this copium that they can win races now to being worse than Ferrari.
The best, which so that could be the deciding factor on this race.
With the tyres that are given to them, John, the C3 to C5, and then we look at qualifying, it's really important on these circuits that are hard to overtake, and I think the Hungarian ring falls into that category, doesn't it? It's high tyre wear, it's going to be hot weather. It's a hard to overtake place, so qualifying is going to be key. Does that mean that McLaren have got a pretty decent chance?
Yes.
I think it's gonna be fairly similar to perhaps a scenario like we saw at Imola, where there's between the cars there isn't much difference of ultimate performance, but it will be about optimising that performance, especially in qualifying, because grid position here is absolutely critical. It's a hot track. The softest tyre, is going to struggle over a lap. You've got a mixture of, some high-speed corners, chicanes. You need good traction, so you're going to need to balance out, how aggressive do you push to start the lap, how much do you save things for the end of the lap, how do you kind of balance out the front temps and the rear temps for that qualifying lap. So it's going to be quite critical, and a lot of reliance on the drivers and teams to manage those out laps and the qualifying laps and dial it in properly. So it's going to be especially fascinating seeing who comes out on top. And I think, be one of those.
Red Bull and McLaren.
It'd be fascinating on Saturday to, look at those GPS traces and see which drivers were clever in saving tyres in the first sector. Was that a better approach than attacking early on and facing the consequences in the final sector? And it may well be one there's no perfect answer, and the drivers that thought had executed it perfectly because things had looked that way heading into qualifying, suddenly a plus 5 degree track temp or minus 5 degree track temp, the whole situation changes. But this is what we like Formula 1 to be. It's about performing and delivering to the absolute best with no certainty of the result until it all unfolds in front of us.
Yeah, wouldn't it be lovely if what we expect or what we hope is what comes to fruition? We've got Red Bull with the one-driver team. We've got McLaren, who seem to be doing...
Yeah, Red Bull and McLaren, then fuck Mercedes.
Right, Ferrari, who knows what's going on there. And McLaren and Mercedes, that are really good in cold weather. And it's going to be baking hot in Hungary. So
so fuck them.
Who knows what's going to happen. But let's hope that post-race...
hope they will have a really bad race. And maybe the worst race Lewis Hamilton have ever had. Because Lewis and Russell crashed themselves out.
Smiles on everyone's faces. Gents, as always, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that just about does it for our Hungarian Grand Prix preview. Make sure you leave some comments below about who you think is going to be on the podium. And also make sure you subscribe as well so you stay up to date with all of our videos. Also, while you're there, why not check out our exclusive interview with Gunther Steiner, the former head of Haas. Until next time, though, thanks for watching.
Oh, new outro. Let's see, did it say anything? Yeah. Hopefully Perez will succeed with something. I mean, what's happening? Liam Lawson, I don't know. To Red Bull, probably not. To Visa Cash or be Formula 1 team, probably yes. McLaren push for the podium. I don't podium. Push for the win. Yeah, here we are, learning to win. I mean, I really hope that Mercedes will not be good. That's, yes. But I'm hoping that McLaren and Red Bull can keep fighting. And then we have Ferrari third. And then Mercedes can fight with Aston Martin again. Yeah, so let's, and then we, of the Autosport, we have, oh shit, they done something with the Kevin Magnussen leaving Haas, but before that, or I will probably do that tomorrow, so now it will be P1. Our prediction for 2024 Hungarian Grand Prix. So, my prediction is, yeah, what can that be? Max Verstappen probably a win. Lando Norris will be P2 again. McLaren will probably make a mistake and he will lose one more win to Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc P3, hopefully.
We've had a week off, and after having a triple header, it feels like we've not
week off. IndyCar happened in between.
About Formula One in about 3 years. It's great to be back. We've got Monaco without the walls coming up, Hungary, and it's a very, we constantly say it, but I feel like it is genuinely a thing, is that this is an underrated circuit. It's produced some great races in the past, and I feel like we might be on for another one, because the 2024 season is a stone cold banger with Max Verstappen winning by 400 points.
Yeah. And hopefully Mercedes will be bad again.
It is turning into that, isn't it? We do a little Patreon pod, if you want to check it out, where we go through classic races. And this one is a really difficult one to choose because...
Oh my god, really? Paying for that? Paying for this wash people British opinions on Formula 1? Man, people really want to burn money.
For a track that, like you say, is Monaco without the walls, you kind of expect, oh, it's boring and you can't overtake, but for whatever reason, it has produced so many memorable races. So
it certainly is. Now, considering we're doing plugs, let's do another one. Our American Tour, which starts in Canada. But our American Tour. Tickets are selling very well. Incredibly well, in fact. New York is almost sold out. So if you want to see myself and Tommy be two plebs on the stage...
Oh no! The fuck? So people... No. Really? Do you guys have so many Americans that want to waste money on this? No.
In America or Canada, then please come. Ticket link will be in the description, and we're very, very excited. So we'd love to see you there. Let's get into our predictions. Biggest good surprise.
Charles Leclerc.
Feeling energetic today. Feeling good. Feeling positive after a difficult time for, as you can see, Ferrari wearing man. I am locking in Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Because 2 reasons, maybe more, 3 reasons. 1,
you're delusional.
They will have upgrades for the car. Charles Leclerc will prove how good the car is, and he's Charles Leclerc.
Had the worst run of form possible, so a cheeky little top 10 finish and not being lapped is a biggest good surprise. 2, I am delirious. And 3, it's Monaco without the walls. And look who won Monaco this year. It's Charles Leclerc. I actually think that Charles has had a bad run of form to team me up beautifully for a biggest good surprise, because he is going to do very well around Hungary. And it's going to get me a point. I feel good. The smile is on my face. I don't know why. Because, as I said, I think I've seen Charles lapped 3 in the last 4 races, which is absolutely horrific. Hulkenberg has not only scored more points than Perez, but Leclerc as well. And I think, I haven't fact-checked this, but people have been messaging me saying combined. It's Hungarian Grand Prix.
Combined? No, that's depressing.
Predictions time, which also means it's time to shout out the legends that are our sponsors.
Okay, fuck the sponsor. We don't care about fucking show shot. Oh, fuck, and then we get a relad. Fuck that. Skipping a sponsor and then you get a relad from Red Bull. Eller Red Bull. YouTube. Oh, the new. And then we get one more ad. Pressing. Yeah, but Charles Leclerc should have a good race. I mean, can it be worse than it have already been? Probably not.
/P1.
So, biggest good surprise.
Charles
I've gone for something quite insane because it did not work last time at Silverstone. I've gone for Alexander Albon.
So funny because I was literally deliberating the same thing.
Yeah, because look, someone has to break. Carlos Sainz broke this jinx that people seem to think we have, and I get it. You know, we spoke to Pierre Gasly. He didn't even start the race, so I understand why people think.
And Ocon finished.
And Ocon, yeah, and Alpine basically fell off a cliff in terms of form as soon as we set foot in their motorhome. Look, I think Alex is going to have a good weekend, and maybe the combination of you speaking to them and me going biggest good surprise, it's like a double, you know, like a reverse thing.
Oh, no, it's the flop that you usually
yeah,
run.
so so we'll see.
Funny because I was actually thinking the same thing, and also if Alex does perform well here at Hungary, it's confirmation that you are the problem, Tommy.
Okay.
Just saying.
True.
So let's see. But Alex is off the back of points scoring finish in Silverstone, so he's going to have to essentially win the race now for it to be biggest good surprise, eh?
You say that, and you're blaming me here, and I just thought of the last time you interviewed someone without me was Daniel Ricciardo, and the next race was Zandvoort, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on. Biggest flop.
Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
The flopper.
Man's had far too good of a streak recently. Lance Stroll. He's having a flop because he's actually been quite good. He's been chefing Fernando Alonso. And I need to do this for you, Tommy. I feel like, you know, I don't want to see sporting pain in your eyes. It only happens to me. You know, people need to have that balance of you being smug and winning everything. No, I just think Lance Stroll, bad weekend coming in Hungary. No reason apart from vibes.
Okay, so biggest flop. I've gone for.
What is that smirk? You stop that immediately.
I've gone for a team, and that team is Ferrari.
Oh, for God's sake! How can they flop any more than this, Tommy?
Because my theory is that there's going to be a lot of hype around Ferrari because it's Monaco without the walls, exactly what you said with Charles Leclerc. And I think there's more to it than just that they're going to rock up at a track a bit similar to Monaco and be good again. I think something has, whatever they're doing, maybe they're doing it, they've gone for upgrades to try something different, or they're, developing for the future, but for whatever reason, Ferrari have fallen off. For me, the whole Monaco thing, I get it, but I also think, for me, is Charles Leclerc's brilliance in Monaco as well. He's done it, even when the Ferrari's not been there, he's been at the front in Monaco. So I don't necessarily think that just because the circuit characteristics are a bit like Monaco means that Ferrari are going to do well.
Great, well, your opinion's invalid. So, pole position.
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen's going to get pole. He was utterly brilliant last year at Hungary and just destroyed everybody. And I feel like we've had a good run. We've had a really good run of everyone sort of challenging him. Yeah, I just feel as a Max pole is on the cards again. I do. I really do.
Okay, so the pole position. I have gone for George Russell again. Back-to-back pole positions. I think Mercedes are going to be very quick again. They've found something for sure. And George is good at this track. Been on pole before.
They have found something to be better than Ferrari, not good enough to be better than McLaren and Red Bull.
And he is rapid in qualifying, so I could see it happening again.
we haven't actually reminded everyone what the score is between us. Do you know what the scores are between us? Just to confirm?
I know I was leading by 1 point. I can't remember the exact score.
I mean, leading by 1 point's fine. Let's go to our top 3. In third position, Charles Leclerc. That's biggest. If he's on the podium, that's the biggest good surprise. Straight up.
A lap down or just
a lap down in third place? I'll still take it. If it's still on the podium, I don't care if he's 5 laps down. Only 3 finishes and Charles third. Biggest good surprise locked in. Thank you.
P3, I have gone for Lewis Hamilton.
No.
Another Merc podium.
Okay.
And yeah, I've gone
God,
for...
you've become a Merc fanboy all of a sudden, haven't you?
I do think Merc will do well.
I think if it's really hot, they won't do that great this weekend. But let's see.
We'll see.
In second position, Lando Norris. What more is there to say?
Yeah.
Shall I just give my
Charles Leclerc,
P2?
Lando Norris.
Because my P2 is also
Verstappen.
Lando Norris.
Is it? Okay.
And I think I was going to make exactly the same joke of what more is there to say, which is really savage because it makes it sound like a diss, but I don't know. There's something about just predicting the podium now. You're like, oh, Lando P2. It's like it happens. It's happened so much this year. Like, yeah, it really does.
Too much.
Not that that's a slander to him.
No,
it's
exactly.
Just that's kind of what's happened a lot of the time.
Sometimes
okay.
it's him, sometimes it's McLaren. Hopefully it's not McLaren again because there'll be, well...
Yeah, for his sake, hopefully he just finishes second on pure pace.
Yeah.
It's nothing, and it's just a lovely race for him, but he finishes second. Because in first position, Max Verstappen. Yep.
Yeah, Mercedes is back, but who will probably still win? Max Verstappen, who will still be P2? Lando Norris, yeah. Mercedes is 100% back.
We're back. We're back to Verstappen.
Back for what? Getting podiums again?
Verstappen winning.
He's back after his
Poland
pathetic P2 in
Yeah, awful, dreadful. So he's going to bounce back. Hungary, it's going to be a P1 for me.
Nice. P1 I have gone for George Russell.
No, you
continuing the Mercedes.
Max isn't even on the podium, bruv.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
look,
that's
he was
so
nowhere in
much
Monaco,
cooking.
was he?
And you call yourself a Max Verstappen?
I know. How dare I not predict him? I'm also a very, very pessimistic person. I did literally just. I know this is what we do, but I read out what I thought was it going to be, and then I was like, wait, I've not put Max in there, and yeah, the fact that it's so close now, Red Bull are falling back into that pack. It has to be said,
it's
and
so
I do
close.
think he's
Yeah, true.
papering over the cracks of Red Bull big time at the moment. And boy, I mean, if I am right, never normally am, but say I am, and Max is not on the podium, and Mercedes win a third race in a row, maybe
Championship back home.
Well, not even that. Maybe Max is like going, oh, you know what? Maybe I will go to Mac.
Ooh.
No, he will not.
Saucy.
Ooh.
Let's go to our one crazy prediction then. Something I definitely saw as blank in my sheet until about 5 seconds ago, so I've just filled that in. I am going for, slight loophole, going to fly myself straight through there actually, more than 3 DNFs. Sorry, 3 or more DNFs.
Yeah.
Because we are very much in an era where we don't have anyone DNFing really. I mean, Gasly was...
nowadays.
Yeah, how many did we have in Silverstone? Was it just Gasly?
Yes. Yeah, I think
he
was.
He didn't even make the start, so... I think 3 or more.
No, 2. 2. Russell, of course, as well.
Oh, sorry, George. Whoops. 3 or more DNFs. I think it's going to be a hot, intense battle, and it's going to cause a few cars to go.
Lewis Hamilton and George Russell.
It's funny though because just looking through the results, you had 2 DNFs in the last race. Without the Lando crash, he was actually classified, so it doesn't even count as a DNF. So you had all 20 technically finishing in Austria. All 20 finishing in Spain. So it does happen a lot more now. So it is definitely a bold prediction. I am continuing my theme. And my crazy prediction is that Max Verstappen does not extend his championship lead after Hungary. He's constantly been extending his title lead.
So that basically means that Lando beats him.
Lando beats Max, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no... Unless Charles Leclerc wins and Lando and Max DNF. That's another way that we can...
I mean, knowing your biggest good surprise probably will happen. So.
Maybe. Fingers crossed. Okay, interesting stuff. And that's what we need. We need Max to start being caught if we're going to have any hope of a championship fight. He's, 55 plus 29, 84 points clear now.
That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points. Let's hope it comes down a little bit so it can be a bit more interesting.
We are halfway through the season, though.
Yep, still time. Let's go do 3 crazy predictions from you, beautiful people. First and foremost, Lee Boy 910. Double points for V-Carb. That would have to be, I think, a race of attrition. Law VSX, Oscar Piastri gets his first win. We'll see on that one. And Aidan the Squitten, Aston Martin podium. Oh my God, he's been smoking that Tommy pack.
Ours were quite crazy, and the fans have just gone. The fans have had a week without F1 and think we're still in like 2012 or something, and not just the fact that it's slightly better season than we thought it would be.
Because Aston Martin are not looking too good.
No, it'll have to be Alonso because you've gone Stroll biggest flop. So
true. And that is it. Thank you everybody for watching and listening to these wonderful predictions. Reminder, of course, that our US/starting in Canada live show tour is available. Tickets will be in the link in the description on YouTube and also on our social medias. So please come along if you would like to get a ticket. We saw it, and we know that there are some people that like that series. So we will continue it, even if we both want to throw ourselves in a dustbin when we release the video.
Just one thing, that we have this running joke where it always seems to be someone commenting about Zhou Guan Yu's race. And it was so funny because I went through the comments and it was like, love driver ratings. Absolutely. I love this series. Keep it up. Guys, driver ratings are so good. Keep doing it. Zhou ran wide on lap 3 and he had a 2p coin on his tyre, which affected him by 0.1 of a second.
2p is circular. Oh dear, we love to see it. Keep it up. Right, that is it. Thank you everybody. See you soon. Lots of love, and we'll be live for all sessions bar qualifying because we are at the Formula E. But we will be not all sessions, competitive sessions. So Sunday. We'll be live on Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
No, fuck that. Oh, god damn it. Fucking clicking on the wrong stuff. See, what do we have left? We have the Formula 1 word. The F1 word. No. Yeah, but I don't believe Mercedes will be anything close to being good. It will be 100% Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and then Charles Leclerc. And Mercedes will finish behind Carlos Sainz and Perez and Oscar Piastri. Yeah, so let's see what the F1 word have to say.
Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 word and to the preview for the 2024 Hungarian Grand Prix, the first race of a doubleheader and the penultimate race before F1 takes its annual summer holiday. Now, this is a funny one because for a long time this was not a race I look forward to all that much. It's often referred to as Monaco without the barriers, of course. An F1 cliche you'll likely hear a lot this weekend. And it hasn't always given us great racing over the years. However, in more recent seasons, it's actually given us plenty of action. So I'm very much looking forward to this weekend, not least because of how close things are throughout the field right now. But anyway, enough for that waffle. Let's crack on with the preview, starting as always with a look at the circuit and all the usual stats that follow. So last time out, F1 was at Silverstone, where Lewis Hamilton picked up his first win since Saudi Arabia 2021.
Yeah,
but now it is on to Budapest for round 13 of 2024 and the start of the second half of the season already. A lap of the Hungaroring is 4.381 kilometers long. That is just over 2.72 miles if that's your thing, and is made up of 14 corners with 70 laps scheduled for Sunday's race. And the race lap record is held by Lewis Hamilton, who posted a 1:16.627 back in 2020. This weekend, there will be 2 DRS zones in use, with the first running between turns 1 and 2 and the second down the long start-finish straight. Both zones, by the way, share a detection point, which is situated just before the final corner. Although the track has shaken off some of the comparisons to Monaco I mentioned earlier, it is still a very tough track to pass on, especially through that middle sector. But we do tend to see lots of action at turn 1 and through turns 2 and 3 as well. So most of the side-by-side stuff is more than likely going to take place through and at the end of those DRS zones. It's worth noting as well that downforce levels are some of the highest of the season, and the circuit has one of the lowest top speeds of the year, as well as the second slowest average lap time on the F1 calendar. Nice. And last year, Max Verstappen won the race comfortably, I think it's fair to say, from second on the grid, passing Lewis Hamilton, who started on pole on lap 1 at turn 1. Verstappen was followed home on Sunday by Lando Norris in P2 and teammate Sergio Perez, who took the final step on the podium. Now, you know how I love a stat. I really love a stat, and this one is a corker. That's a great word as well, by the way. So 2 different British drivers, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, have won the last 2 F1 races. And if Lando Norris can win in Budapest this weekend, it will be the first time since 1965 that 3 different British drivers have won 3 successive races. Yes, that's right, 1965. But my absolute favourite thing about that stat is that it gives me the number 3 to work with, and shock horror, 3 is also the number of dry tyre compounds available across a race weekend. Oh yes, that is right, people, it is tyre talk time once again. The compounds available this weekend are, as they were last year, the softest in the Pirelli range, and so they are the hard C3, the medium C4 and the soft C5. It's perhaps no great surprise then to hear that the Hungaroring isn't all that stressful on the tyres, at least in terms of forces exerted on them, but degradation can be very high, and this weekend is set to be a hot one, which could have a huge impact on strategy.
Oh, hopefully it will be a hot one. Then Mercedes will be really bad. My God bless the hotness of the track.
And obviously preventing the tyres from overheating, especially the soft tyres in qualifying over 1 lap, will be critical. Much like last year, actually, so we could see things play out in a similar way on that front. As already touched on, the circuit is a twisty one and traction is critical, and track evolution across the weekend tends to be fairly high, just something worth bearing in mind. Pirelli points out as well that the track hasn't been used for a long time while the facility was modernised, and so that evolution could be higher than usual, and the manufacturer states that early in the week...
So even worse race for Mercedes, hopefully.
Weekend graining could be a big factor as well. By the way, just so you know, that modernisation of the circuit was only phase 1, and according to the Hungaroring website, focused on finishing the retaining walls of the event area, but the contractor also decided to widen the paddock and complete construction of the tunnels under the start-finish straight. Anyway, last year's winning strategy was a 2-stop, with Max Verstappen starting on a used set of mediums, switching to new hards on lap 23, and then to another used set of mediums on lap 51, which he ran to the end of the race. All finishers pitted twice in 2023, and although softs were used by some, the vast majority of the field ran a combination of mediums and hards for the race. Last year's total pit lane loss time was largely between 21 and 23 seconds. The safety car doesn't crop up all that often at this track, with only 6 races featuring one, and the last full safety car period in Hungary was in...
Only 6 races? No, that's something.
2021. And as already mentioned, it is expected to be a fairly warm weekend in Hungary, and as usual, the most up-to-date forecast, so as of Thursday morning this time, is on screen for you now.
Oh, nice. Race, super warm. Practice 2, yeah, fuck Mercedes. Sadly, practice 3 and qualifying will be maybe better for Mercedes. But at least practice 1, practice 2 and the race will hopefully be a really bad time for Mercedes.
Now to have a look at, but bear in mind, as always, that could still change between now and the start of the event.
It can, hopefully not.
And your schedule for this one is back to the usual European time. Silverstone, of course, varying ever so slightly last time out, with the race being an hour later than other European races. So the weekend starts on Friday with FP1, which is from 12:30 PM BST, FP2 taking place later that same afternoon at 4 PM. Saturday's F1 action starts with FP3 at 11:30 AM, with qualifying underway at 3 PM. And it is lights out for the race on Sunday at 2 PM, and once again, that is in UK time. Now, before I make some predictions for this one, let's have a run through some of the news.
Oh, shit. Oh, you just gave information
Now,
about
before I
the
make
times.
some predictions for this one, let's have a run through some of the news stories that have been doing the rounds ahead of the weekend's action.
Haas will not be in... No. Kevin Magnussen will not be in the house. Not
So
Haas will
first
not
up,
be in
Mercedes
Kevin
have won the
Magnussen.
last 2 F1 races with George Russell taking the win in Austria thanks to what happened ahead, and Lewis Hamilton picked up the win last time out at Silverstone. However, ahead of the weekend in Hungary, Toto Wolff has said that although the team has renewed momentum, he isn't yet convinced the W15 is fast enough at the moment to fight for victory at every circuit.
But thanks for these 2 wins, people with a lot of copium will use it now because they have won the latest races.
In his Budapest preview, the Mercedes team boss added that the team is working hard to bring more steps of performance that will enable them to challenge for more wins, and that work will obviously continue until the summer shutdown. He went on to say that the focus for Mercedes this weekend is quite simply on doing the best job they can, and the hope is to maintain the positive step forwards they have taken and finish the first half of the season as strongly as possible. Interesting weekend ahead. This should give us an idea of where Mercedes really are. There have been other factors involved, of course, in Austria and
Wait, what do you mean these 2 races there have been? You can't really say that Mercedes are back. Wow, so people with the copium are wrong.
The rain and the crash at the front. This could be a big weekend for Mercedes. Just something worth bearing in mind. Keep an eye on that. Elsewhere, it has been announced that Haas will continue to use Ferrari power units until the end of the 2028 season, with the team saying that having only raced with Ferrari power, having continued stability moving into the next set of regulations is a key part of their ongoing development. The announcement has also confirmed that the deal is an extension of the technical partnership between the 2 teams, a relationship that has been in place since Haas entered the sport in 2016. In recent weeks, there have been speculation that Haas was considering a tie-up with Toyota, which varied from wind tunnel usage to engine supply or even a title sponsorship. However, according to Autosport and others, it is understood that discussions between Haas and Toyota are taking place and are focused.
And this is also something. Toyota and Haas is doing something
around ways they could work together in the future outside of things Ferrari provides at the moment, so such as the Toyota personnel to help with the Haas F1 project, car production that could work alongside the team's current Dallara relationship, or perhaps other technical collaborations. That, of course, is all speculation though, and the key point to take away from this for now is that extension with Ferrari to the end of 2028. Also, on Haas, keep an eye on the news this week because it has been widely reported that Esteban Ogone has signed for the team for 2020.
Yeah, Kevin Magnussen is out.
And an official announcement is imminent. And Helmut Marko has said that Red Bull's upgrades for Hungary must work as the pressure mounts from the likes of McLaren and Mercedes. In his Speed Week column, Marko says everything has to fit perfectly for the team to win and they can't afford to make even the slightest mistake. He also conceded that the RB20 is not the fastest car at the moment, and he hopes that will be corrected with the updates this weekend. Another interesting line to pick out from that column is regarding Sergio Perez, where Marko stated the team needs 2 drivers at the front, obviously, and is hoping Checo will find form again soon. However, he says Red Bull will evaluate the situation during the summer break and will then see what happens. Maybe this is a bit hyperbolic if you like, perhaps not, but are we at the stage now where Perez has just 2 more races to save his Red Bull career? Let me know what you think. One thing is for sure though, he cannot afford to keep up his current run of bad form and the results that come with it, otherwise he'll leave the team with no option but to make a change. It is also worth noting, by the way, before we move on, that other teams are expected to bring updates to Budapest, including Aston Martin, McLaren, and possibly Ferrari, according to AMUS. But let's see what the car display show and tell thing throws up in a few days' time. Right then, time for me to make some predictions, and as always, please do not, for the love of God, take these 2 seriously just a little.
Max Verstappen pole, Charles Leclerc P3 and Lando Norris P2, and Max Verstappen a win.
Bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comments section down below. And last time out, well, better than some weeks, but still pretty terrible, let's be honest. Points for Verstappen for P2. Ferrari is the 4th best finishing team and getting the number of drivers to finish the race correct. Overall, as we head into the second half of the season, it's not going very well on that season score. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing because it means this season is far from predictable and I love that. This time, it's going to be difficult to make some picks again, but I'm going with Red Bull versus McLaren for Hungary. As always, I'm not ruling others out completely, but the heat might be an issue for Mercedes this weekend. They tend to be stronger in cooler conditions. And when it comes to Ferrari, it all depends on which Ferrari team actually turns up to Budapest. Sorry to be that dismissive, but that's how it feels at the moment. Max Verstappen has won here for the last 2 seasons, by the way, by 33 seconds in 2023. And despite a full 360-degree spin, won by just shy of 8 seconds in 2022. So he's got form at the Hungaroring, but he looks set to have a fight on his hands if he wants to make it 3 in a row at the circuit. I'm not going to sit here and waffle for ages. Let's get to the point. I'm going with Lando Norris for pole position, but I'll say that he won't convert that into victory, with Max Verstappen instead taking the win on Sunday. I will put Norris in 2nd place, though. As for...
And probably one more broken this could maybe happen again. If Lando Norris will celebrate like he did before.
Convert that into victory with Max Verstappen instead taking the win on Sunday. I will put Norris in second place though. As for the final step on the podium, Perez raced well here last season, but I just can't see him challenging for a top 3 spot this time around. And actually, based on recent form, I think he'll struggle to even make the top 6 on Sunday. Given how unpredictable the last few races have been, I'm going to hedge my bets just a little bit this week and go with Lewis Hamilton making it 3 different teams inside the top 3. Must be said, it could just as easily be George Russell or Oscar Piastri, but Hamilton is another driver who has great form in Hungary over the years, so I'm going to go with him this time.
Yeah, great form. Get pole and then lose. And lose the start. And Max Verstappen and Lando Norris get past him before they turn 1.
My best of the rest picks, so 4th best finishing team on Sunday, I'll go with Ferrari again. And my bolder picks for this one, bolder picks being their own thing by the way, and are separate to my actual predictions, are for a slightly chaotic race with Fernando Alonso taking a shock top 4 place. Yuki Tsunoda picks up a top 10 finish for RB on Sunday, and Logan Sargent, perhaps with a slice of luck, somehow manages to outqualify Alex Albon in proper qualifying on Saturday. Although, if I were you, I wouldn't go placing any bets on that one, or any of my predictions for that matter. That would be absolutely crackers of you. They don't tend to go well, as you've seen. That is it then for the Hungarian Grand Prix preview, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back on Saturday around 2:30 PM with the qualifying watch-along, and of course I'll be live again with Stuart shortly after the race on Sunday for some reaction. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel in its fight with that pesky algorithm, and consider subscribing as well so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.
Oh! This amazing phone ad. 1 minute and 20 seconds, they will be amazing. Farming bad phone ads. I can't save it, please, but no. Yeah, but hopefully the weather will make Mercedes think, like, people will see how bad Mercedes can actually be. No, is the ad already over? Oh my, I get cancer clicking. I hate this so much. Yeah, why the fuck do you have this clicking? So disgusting. Yay, and then we are actually good at HBO. House of the Dragon, that will happen.
Hey.
Season 2, episode 6 will happen. Let's see, what will the talk about putting other people on dragons will probably happen. Oh my god, the queen's, the Black Queen's name, I don't know, but she have sent one of her followers to find out what Damon, I think, what is he doing in Hiron Hall, if he's supporting his own claim to the throne or hers claim for the throne. What will more happen? Who will be in the the sea fleet? Yeah, what the fuck are they called? Yeah, whatever. So a lot of stuff will happen that will probably make the black the team black will have a good time and team green will have a bad time. Oh, the greens will probably do more stuff about King's Landing and what will happen in that place. Will the people revolt more? I may start fighting. And yeah. Let's see what more, what information. Yeah, let's do all the information about yeah, all the news. Like Kevin Magnusson we can start with. Oh, this fucking bad. Fuck off. Oh my god, I can make it go in fucking low. Oh my god, so annoying. Can I? No, I can't. Oh my god, so disgusting. I can't even turn off the sound. Oh my god, and I can put in a fucking loop by pressing yeah, this the zoom, the big screen, and what the fuck is called? Yeah, full screen and half screen. What the fuck is called?
Right, John, we're in Hungary. It's very hot, but we're also kind of in...
that would... Please make me just show how fucking bad they really are.
New and old surround. What's different this year?
We're here and it's...
What the fuck? Can I skip the ad? Is this the ad?
hot. Super, super, super hot. I think everyone's been struggling.
Fuck is this? Let's see, can I... let's see... Information... I wanna find... How did that screenshot look like? Where can I find it? There we have it. Oh my god, yes. So fucking weird. The fucking... What the fuck can I skip?
A bit. Today I did a Charles Leclerc interview earlier on before I'd set it all up, so aircon broke. I think it got up to 41 degrees inside or something. So it's hurriedly done downstairs in the shade. So I think he was happy and I was happy as well.
How have you found the day? It's always a bit crazy on a Thursday, isn't it? We're rushing from media sessions, starts off at Haas earlier on in the day and then ends up, obviously goes more championship order, Max Verstappen at the end.
Well, I think the...
What the fuck? View from the paddock, F1 News. Oh shit. All this look... Oh my god. This looks like an ad now. Okay, what do we have? Magnussen to leave Haas. Yes, alongside Outlook. Okay. Perez lost on Tsunoda. Okay. McLaren breakdown. Yeah, this I want to save also. This is so weird. Nope. Did it got saved somewhere else? God damn it. Where can I find it? I mean, I should have it should have been saved. Oh, there. For some... Okay, because I have this stuff up. so weird. I've broken the YouTube.
I think actually the day started earliest for you. I think I was driving in this
Oh, on the
morning.
way
You filed the first story on Magnussen, wasn't it? So that was our starting point.
Pretty big news to start the day. Maybe
It's
not the
leaving.
most sensational, explosive of the driver market stories this year. But yeah, Magnussen leaving Haas. It was interesting to hear him speak about the situation. You know, obviously there was sort of a tone of, I don't necessarily agree with the decision, but he's old enough and wise.
You don't agree? Like maybe Mick Schumacher? Now you maybe know how it feels to get removed like he was.
It's enough to understand it. Although actually, I looked this up. 31. He's only 31. In my mind,
I remember that age.
me too, actually, a couple of years ago. But there we go. It just seems striking that he's just been around for so long. That's just something that struck me. But yeah, I think he's very much, hoping he can stick around in Formula One. I think he's realistic at the same time because we all know what's going on with Ollie Behrman coming in, potentially with Kimi Antonelli coming in. That's two existing drivers that are gonna drop out. So Magnussen's like, look, I'll do my best to get whatever seat I can in F1, but if it doesn't happen, he loves racing.
And he will probably not get another seat. He's out.
In sports cars, he's got that experience in racing in IMSA in 2021. He's with his father at Le Mans as well, of course. But yeah, it was just interesting to hear a sort of basically in that press release, which is how we get that ahead of time. How I was able to get that story ready on my phone. Io Komatsu, team principal, saying, look, we'd be open to having Kevin stick around in some role. Now, again, he wouldn't be drawn on that in his session actually at the very end of the day. But Kevin himself was saying, if it's some sort of advisor thing, yeah, I would be open to that. Obviously, if he gets a job with another F1 team, that's not happening. But it's it's the sort of thing he's like, I've known these people for such a long time. I'd rather stick around and see what happens. So I thought that was quite sweet, really.
Yeah, I think the driver market, I think we're in the same kind of almost Groundhog Day, mainly involves of, has Carlos Sainz made his decision yet? I had that conversation today. The answer is still no. And I think everything's resting on that. I think one of the most interesting stories was Roberto Quincaro, our kind of Italian correspondent, found out that Williams is looking at options for the second half of the season. See, Logan Sargent's not delivering the points they want or need for the Constructors' Championship. So I think they're evaluating options. I think Ocon was on the list. Roberto says he even went as far as the seat fitting. But Alpine have said, nope, basically, we're keeping him because it wouldn't make much sense to give one of your top drivers to a rival you're fighting in the Constructors' Championship. So we've had that. And I think you spoke to Logan as well, didn't you, earlier? How was he?
Very much.
Wait, the fuck? The fuck did he say?
So we've had that. And I think you spoke to Logan as well, didn't you? We're keeping him because it wouldn't make much sense. Tom was on the list. It's not delivering the points they want. Our kind of Italian correspondent, found out that Williams is looking at options for the second half.
Known these people for such a long time.
Mainly involves of, has Carlos Sainz made his decision yet? I had that conversation today. The answer is still no. And I think everything's resting on that. I think one of the most interesting stories was Roberto Quincaro, our kind of Italian correspondent, found out that Williams is looking at options for the second half of the season. See, Logan Sargent's not delivering the points they want or need for the Constructors' Championship. So I think they're evaluating options. I think Ocon was on the list. Roberto says he even went as far as the seat fitting. But Alpine have said, nope, basically, we're keeping him because it wouldn't make much sense to give one of your top drivers to a rival you're fighting in the Constructors' Championship. So we've had that. And I think you spoke to Logan as well, didn't you, earlier? How was he?
Very much. He gave polite answers. He answered every question except one, which was about, what could he comment on the perception that American drivers, when they come to F1, which is obviously very Eurocentric, with the team being based here and the traditional fan base, the majority of them being based here, what's his experience be like that? He's like, actually, not to comment on that one, fair enough. But he answered every question, but he had the air of a driver that, I don't know, it's such an interesting change in him from when we first met him at the Williams, when we first met him as he was announced as an F1 driver at the Williams factory at the start of 2023, when honestly I was blown away by his confidence. I was like, this kid, like, wow, can I have a little bit of what he's having or whatever? But he's obviously got into F1, found it very, very hard, and admits that. And I think was open in saying, look, last year wasn't good, but this year is good, but no one's noticing because to a certain extent, the sort of the die is cast. People, unless he gets on the podium or wins a race or something like that, the perception of him isn't going to change, and that's obviously.
Well, for him, he's just getting points, out qualifying Alex Albon, but nothing happens.
Not helped by the fact that things within the team haven't gone as how he would have liked. Now, when you got the team principal openly chatting about replacing you in the media, in public, also obviously, of course, behind closed doors, that's one thing. But he's sort of saying, look, you know, I feel like I've been driving better this year, but I've not been getting any reaction, any sort of positive feedback, even from Williams. Now, again, he clarified that when I asked him to sort of say, oh, is that a change from last year? He was like, no, even last year, there's no pats on the back in Formula One. It's, you know, it's a big business, and you're expected to perform. So I just found that was interesting, but he just sounds a bit defeated now, understandably. He also talked about how, you know, whatever I say, I'm going to get criticised, so it almost doesn't matter. So I can understand his position, and unless you're in a top team and getting the top results, you're just, a lot of the time, even the best performances fly under the radar. So he's in a tricky situation. But that said, if you're good enough, you make it, and you don't make the mistakes that he has.
Yeah, I think it's so on to the Sergio Perez session earlier on. You know, he's a similar situation, 2 races to prove himself. Team has said it's unsustainable for him to continue not scoring points, so he needs to turn things around.
Why?
But he was quite defiant. He says, I'm used to pressure, this is why I'm here, this is how I perform. He kept referencing, say, you know, that's the same mantra I'll have in Abu Dhabi this year, it's the same mantra I'll have next year. I'm here, rest of the season, I'm here next year. So he's pushing on. He knows he needs to do better. He says he was in the factory this week working simulator, trying to find improvements, trying to get to the bottom of what's coming on. At think he's also, you know, reading between the lines, knows he needs to deliver, and his future will be decided by the points he scores.
And at least he need to do something. Can this be, 100% orange, stripy. And we can collect 2 or 3 more fishes, and then we can go to the basement.
In these 2 races.
It's not just his future on the line. We know that Liam Lawson's driven that car in a filming day, but effectively sort of quasi-test, assessing his potential. But even if he impressed Red Bull, I don't know if you've got any insight on that, John, but even if he did impress Red Bull, it's not automatic that he would get Perez's seat if they opted to replace them, because they could surely promote Yuki Tsunoda, and I think he had a bit of chat about that.
Yeah,
bit got his elbows out a little bit, didn't he?
It was interesting.
Oh, they had a photo about Liam Lawson. Wait, did they have a photo about Luxar? But no.
Yeah, because Liam's had the test. I think, you know, no alarm bells ringing. I think they were quite happy with what he did in the car, so they've got their reference now of if they decide things aren't working with Checo, you know, where the option is there. I think he's still, from what I understand, the preferred route. But obviously Yuki, you know, feels he's got his RB contract in place for next year. He was asked, you know, quite openly, do you think it would be a bit weird if Liam beat you to this seat? And he went, yeah, it would be weird. You know, he thinks he's done enough.
True.
Then I said to him, but equally, you know, if you're Laurent Mekies, team principal at RB, you're fighting in a Constructors' Championship fight, increasingly tough with Haas. You aren't going to want to let Yuki go and bring someone else in who potentially can't score the regular points. So he's in quite an interesting situation where the team's desire of what's best for them may not actually be what he ultimately wants, which is that Red Bull seat.
Certain, not parallels, but and not even quite the reverse of the Sargent or Ocon getting in at Williams' situation, but you can sort of see the links there. Now, I'm checking my notes here because I want to ask this in a very special way. There's been some technical intrigue going on. Let's not say anything too controversial on that, but
yeah, something about McLaren brake drum. Check for illegal setups.
No, the point is that actually is really interesting, because fundamentally what the FIA is looking at and what we're about to discuss has impact on who potentially could be winning Formula 1 races and are winning Formula 1 races. So let's start at McLaren. If anybody's been taking a very, very, very close look at their rear brakes, they might have spotted something quite interesting. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so this is a little story. I mean, I don't think it's the kind of it's caused a lot of interest and chatter in the paddock. I don't think it's any kind of game-changing element. But if you look at the rear brake drum of the McLaren, there's a tiny little hole you can see. We've had images of it that's been open at some races. I think there's a shot of the Austria sprint race. It was open. I looked at my phone. Before the cars went out in the Spanish Grand Prix. You see this hole open. Now, the regulations don't actually allow holes to be open. This apparently has been used for access to a sensor the team can use to monitor brake flow. The Red Bull felt this shouldn't be allowed. This hole's got to be closed. So since the Austria main Grand Prix, we now see a bit of tape that's covered it. So it's a little bit, it's not a big thing. It wasn't illegal. Just fell into that area where the F5, just a gentle little nudging reminder of where the regulations are, and they'll go away. But I think the pace of Lando in the Austrian race, we didn't see much in Silverstone, it wasn't hot, but I think this weekend will be interesting. If McLaren maintains promise its house on long runs, the issue will disappear into the background. But the second...
this is slightly more of a game.
This is quite interesting because the fight at the front, you know, a lot of the gains that McLaren's made in the last 12 months, Mercedes has made in recent races, is all to do with car balance. These cars are really tricky because you're dealing with low-speed understeer and high-speed oversteer, and it's really tricky to get an aero balance that fits both. Best way to do it is have a front wing that, you know, is up in the low speed, so you get that turn in and then kind of flexes down in high speed, so you're not getting, so the aero balance shifts backwards and better balances. And the FIA up to now has been quite happy with what teams have been up to, but it's emerged, a note was sent by FI's Nicholas Tombassis to the teams this week saying in Belgium, some selected teams, so I don't know how many.
So Mercedes and McLaren are cheating.
Could be one, could be three, could be four, could be all the front runners are going to be picked. So video cameras must be fitted in a certain place on the nose, and they're going to monitor areas of kind of front wing flexibility on the flaps and the end plates. Fear about them testing down. No change to test at the moment. No stipulation that, you know, wings are, this is going to be legally going to be thrown out. But it's a kind of information gathering exercise for the FIA. But it could be interesting because if teams suddenly can't do it, they can't get this car balanced, suddenly teams that were in the window could be out of it. So it's not a game changer for now, but could have some good implications as we go forwards. So we'll see where that one goes, and we'll be back for more fun tomorrow, I think.
After I could dive into an ice bath, ideally.
Okay, let's see what happens if I click this button. Apparently nothing. No, can I? No, it's not longer about that. So the whole clip was an ad for some reason. Nice. Let's see the race. Yeah, they have something about Toyota, the fresh cows with Sergio Perez, with the driver lineup, and then we have, yeah, something about the struggling Ferrari and wasted McLaren, but
Älskar sport.
probably nothing I want to listen to, probably. So let's see, the first thing, the driver market. Have Sergio Perez made so the driver market have been even more up in the air. And that we can see after the ads. And let's see how many. 3 more. 3 more. Oh my god, this is also...
Down at Mercedes. Fresh chaos in the 2025.
This is so weird. The ads for... Oh no. God damn it. Oh no, did I do it too... God damn it. Let's see. Where do we have it? Man, the ads are so weird.
Fresh chaos in the 2025 F1 driver market as
Can we... Oh no, it's probably with the other one. Because I... Man, it's so weird. Why the ads are so weird?
Seats we thought were locked down at Mercedes and Red Bull are seemingly coming back into play. I think we can see now why a decision that looked quite straightforward for Carlos Sainz may be a little bit more complicated after all. I don't think I remember a driver market as volatile or as chaotic as this. So many fresh curveballs keep getting thrown at us. I've got Scott and Ed with me to unpick all of this. Let's start with the Mercedes curveball. It looked a few weeks ago like Kimi Antonelli was basically a lock to replace Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes in 2025. But suddenly, some mixed messaging coming out of Mercedes. So has Toto Wolff gone cold on Kimi?
I don't think he's gone completely off the idea as such. I think it reflects reality. Mercedes would point out that with Sainz, for example, that it never closed the door on him, and with Antonelli, it never 100% committed to putting him in the car for next year. And obviously, while this has played out and the season's gone on, Antonelli's having this difficult F2 season alongside Haas 2025 driver Ollie Behrman in a Prema team that hasn't quite got on top of the new car. On top of that, in terms of pace issues with the team, Antonelli's had some racecraft issues, some race execution issues. So Mercedes wants to give him as much time as possible. That has always been the plan, to give him the whole F2 season if needed, to show how he's developed as a driver. At the same time, Mercedes' position is changing as well, because obviously they're on a much better trajectory. So I think Wolff has not changed the messaging too much. I think he's reiterated why this was a decision that they wanted to spend as much time waiting to see where the lay of the land was.
The stakes have become a little bit higher for Mercedes ultimately, because a few months ago it would have been risible to suggest Mercedes could be a championship threat next year, but their recent progress suggests that they really could be. And so there's a bit of a difference between throwing an 18-year-old into a team that's trying to battle its way back to the front and one that could be in a real live championship battle. So that's maybe skewed the equation a little bit. And of course there's the question of whether Antonelli feels he's ready, whether those behind him think he'd be better served with a slightly more phased introduction to Formula One.
And I guess this is where Sainz comes back onto the Mercedes radar then. But I thought, he wasn't interested in being a Mercedes player.
Let's see, how many will this actually be? Maybe we should just say this it is. This is it. 18, 20, 24. Yeah, 20, 20, 22, 24, 30, 36, 39. 39. Yeah, sure. 24, 30, 36, 39. Yeah, 39. 19, 90, 40 plus 39. 90, 40. Yes. Yeah, let's go down.
Plan B.
I think there was a little bit of the Sainz camp feeling that a driver of Carlos's experience and reputation and the fact that he's a race winner shouldn't have been contesting with Antonelli for the seat, and maybe should have been a bit more of a lock than he was.
An understandable position, basically, I think, given what he's done.
So maybe there's a little bit of, respect maybe is not quite the right word, but the way that it's been handled, maybe the Sainzes were hoping that there'd be a bit more of an emphatic, we want you, we need to have you, let's do a deal. Now, obviously, being at Mercedes in the short term, or just for the short term, doesn't massively appeal to Sainz, but I think he's always been open to a deal that sort of gives him a chance to sort of make his best case there and then try and stay longer term. But he doesn't want to go anywhere just for one season. I think the best way to put it is that if Mercedes is not quite going cold on Kimi but wants to give him a little bit more time, then maybe there is an extra year in F2 and a Williams apprenticeship, or just a 2-year Williams apprenticeship for him that gives Sainz a more medium-term Mercedes future. And if that happens, that deal becomes, I think, a bit more favourable to both sides, and it's worth the wait.
And frankly, even a suboptimal move to a team like Mercedes for Sainz is a positive, even if it only gives him 1 or 2 years in a front-running car. It's very, very hard to get into a front-running Formula 1 car. He's in one now. Most of his main options that are there to be taken that he could have signed up for any time in the past few months are not good options. They are teams down the wrong part of the grid. He might go down there and never come back. So it makes sense for Sainz to hold out if there's a realistic hope. He doesn't want to ruin other chances, but he can afford to be a little bit of a risk taker when it comes to hanging on. He's done that before, but because of this ever-shifting, chaotic market, he keeps getting to the brink of that, saying, well, I've got to accept something, to thinking, oh, well, maybe there's a possibility of staying at the front. I've got to hang on for this.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that the lack of Sainz options is best summed up by the fact that the Renault Works team has only become more appealing since it decided it might not be a Works team anymore. That's how moribund the options are for Sainz. And even Williams boss James Vowles, who is one of the people trying to get him to sign a piece of paper and drive for his team, has admitted that he feels sorry for Sainz in the situation he is. So you can't blame Carlos for running down the clock and just desperately hoping that something better appears.
Yeah, Sainz seems to be in the most chaotic position of all. At one stage, his options are shrinking. Now they seem to be expanding again. If you remove the Sainz-shaped cork from the midfield morass bottleneck, which is what we're talking about now, that in theory simplifies things, but actually you might end up replacing him with a Perez-shaped cork, because obviously now there's the Red Bull curveball, a seat that Perez seemed to have locked down for 1, maybe 2 more years, might be coming back into play. So how does he fit into this new chaotic driver market situation?
Well, if Perez is on the market, he's a very appealing option. Yeah, he's having a dreadful time. He's generally had a tough time alongside Verstappen, but he's a very experienced, very accomplished Grand Prix driver. So he would be of great appeal to a number of those teams. We don't know exactly who would look at him, but if you're a Sauber Audi or someone like that, or even an Alpine, you'll be thinking, actually, Sergio Perez could be of interest. And that's before you even factor in the fact that he can be quite positive commercially as well. So there's a lot of ticks in the Perez box. So there will be an effect on the market. Obviously, if Liam Lawson gets into some kind of Red Bull machinery, that removes him as an option for other teams as well. So that's why this market's so bizarre, because options that seem to be set and locked down are suddenly coming back into play constantly.
Yeah, the Lawson one's interesting, because I thought hearing that he was a serious Audi Sauber backup is quite strange, because I thought, they were more interested in drivers like Ocon or even incumbent Valtteri Bottas.
Well, I think the situation that they found themselves in is that they were so confident for so long that they would get signs that they've been a bit passive in the driver market in terms of alternatives. I know that there's been contact with Lawson on that side, but the only way he becomes available is if Red Bull decides, no, he's not good enough for either of our teams and we don't want to put him in one of those, which doesn't say a huge amount about Audi's F1 project if that's the kind of driver you're going for, someone who can't get in one of 2 teams that Red Bull owns. But he's a reasonable upside driver. He's not a Formula 2 star in the sense of, recent graduates like Oscar Piastri or George.
No, but he's... I love how the fucking Adam fucked this video up. But Leon Lawson... I don't believe Lawson can take Perez's place. I believe more Ricciardo's place. And then the next season, if Perez is still bad in 2025, then Lawson can maybe get a seat.
George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, etc. But he did enough.
If he shows he's good, then Perez shows he's bad.
As Ricciardo stand-in last year to get, I think, a proper chance in Formula 1. And when you then combine that with the fact that Audi doesn't seem sold on the alternatives, that's why he ends up being quite a prominent player in their considerations. The relationship with Bottas has cooled considerably, and I think it would take a lot for Bottas to be convinced to stay there. Ocon is a driver that they're interested in, but not to the point where I think they'll go early to snag him. He's probably going to end up at Haas, and that's because of his reputation as a teammate, a difficult teammate, someone who clashes with people that share the same coloured car as he does. And Théo Pourchaire, who is a Formula 2 champion, and Lawson can't say that, he's just never done enough to convince the Sauber side. And if he can't convince the Sauber side, I don't see how he can convince the Audi side. There's something about him, either as a driver or the way he works behind the scenes, that means he's in the equation as like 4th or 5th on the list, but he's not gonna force his way into that driver lineup.
Oh yes, Théo Pourchaire, driver I forgot to mention, because the list of options for some of those teams, particularly Sauber Audi, just seems to be growing exponentially. If Ocon's no longer really a serious factor on that list and is headed for Haas. What does that say about Io Komatsu's regime? Is he not concerned by this, I think, legitimate Ocon reputation for not playing very well with others?
Well, I would point out that Komatsu, given he's been at Haas for several years, is well versed in managing difficult teammates because while he was on the engineering side rather than the team boss side, he knows the Romain Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen years of old and how tricky that can be. There might be a little bit of, not naivety, I think that would probably be a bit unfair, but there might be a little bit of just kind of like, oh, it'll be fine, we'll ride out the difficult days because he's worth it overall. But I think, not to put words in Ed's mouth on camera, but I like the suggestion. I think we've talked about it a few times. Ocon's just a better Kevin Magnussen. He's going to have higher peaks and he might drive into his teammate every now and again. But if you have Ocon alongside Ollie Behrman, that's a great lineup for Haas going forward.
He's such a brilliant signing for that team if they get him, because he does offer such great performance. He will give you some great race weekends. We've seen what he's capable of. At his best, he's fantastic. Comes with a bit of a downside, but if you're a team like Haas, that's the kind of driver you want. Someone with that big upside. Maybe there's a few little weaknesses that mean they don't get a top team drive, but great for a team at that level.
Yeah, well, Ocon, even if he has some challenges working with his teammates, he's a race winner, isn't he? So you can see how that's an appealing upgrade.
Race
for
winner.
Haas. And of
Thanks
course,
to Alonso.
They now have their lineup pretty much sorted, and you've got Behrman and Ocon pretty much locked down. That's meaning we've got a huge pile of drivers basically fighting over 2 or 3 seats. You know, if the Antonelli and the Sainz to Mercedes thing happens, you're basically talking about 2 seats and a huge amount of drivers. So who's going to end up getting shoveled out of F1 next year among that big pile?
Well, that's a good question. I think of drivers on the grid, Kevin Magnussen, there's a tiny chance he could hang on if Haas don't reel in Ocon, but I think that's going to happen. So Magnussen seems to be on the way out, so does Logan Sargent, so does Zhou Guanyu in terms of a race seat. Valtteri Bottas, I think, is in quite a good position because he's of interest to pretty much all of those teams in the second half of the grid.
A narrowing position, though, isn't it, for him?
It is, but when you're an option for everyone, there's a good chance you'll come in. The one thing he has to be careful of is if you're everybody's second choice, sometimes they all get their first choices and you end up stuck. So he's keen to sign a contract, but I think Bottas should be okay. He's got a lot to offer for a team, particularly given he's kind of the opposite to the Ocon reputation in terms of the way he works with other drivers. So he offers a lot. Jack Doohan obviously is hanging around at Alpine. He was getting quite confident about getting into that seat until suddenly there was this pitch for Carlos Sainz. So if they don't get Carlos Sainz, Jack Doohan could have a good chance of stepping up from reserve driver there. So he's in quite a good position. Perez is that curveball. I'm sure he'll end up somewhere if he's on the market. So there's probably the key question of who of this kind of selection of drivers who aren't necessarily perfectly placed to come in, Doohan, Pocher, people like that, who will be on the grid. There'll probably be one who's a little bit disappointed, but there's actually about the right number of seats to go around for the number of people who should definitely be on the grid. Let's put it that way. But like we say, chaotic. There could be yet another curveball around the corner, probably 10 more the way it's been going.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that with going back to the point we've made at the start with these Red Bull Mercedes seats, it's not just us that have been caught out by that. It has completely changed how the main players in the driver market are behaving. It was not that long ago, and I'm saying this as recently as the Austrian Grand Prix weekend, where everybody in the paddock was aware that it was edging towards a likely outcome of something like Sainz goes to Alpine, then Bottas is at Williams and Ocon's at Haas. It ties it up quite nicely. Lawson maybe replaces one of the Red Bull drivers, but we don't know. Doohan misses out, and a Porsche doesn't get a look in. Pretty straightforward. But you throw Antonelli into a different seat, Sainz into a different seat, and Perez on the market, and all of a sudden everything blows up again.
But it could also just snap back to where it was. These things are still in a state.
Yeah. A lot of things can change. A lot of stuff can just being how it always been and nothing being changed. And all this talk have been for nothing. Let's see, Blockfish Pink. Do we have a Blockfish Pink? Blockfish Purple. They were Blockfish Pink.
State of flux, and that's what makes it so interesting. And remember, this all goes back to that moment Lewis Hamilton signed for Ferrari. That took a lot of people by surprise. Immediately the rest of the driver market kicked off, and it hasn't stopped kicking off ever since then.
Oh shit. Yeah, they only talk. Let's see. Finally. Green, brown.
One of the world's biggest manufacturers is in line to return to Formula One in alliance with the team that's finished last in 2 of the past 3 seasons. Toyota's first crack at F1 was a colossal disappointment given the investment that went into it and lasted just under a decade. The scars of being F1's worst megabucks flop run deep, and for a long time the idea of Toyota coming back in any capacity seemed impossible. But the company's stance on F1 has changed in recent years, chiefly due to the championship's massive growth in popularity, and while there is no new fully fledged works teams on the immediate horizon, Toyota has had significant talks with an existing team on the grid. The surprise return would come with a surprising partner, Haas. It's an odd combination on paper. The manufacturer that pumped in massive investment and had an awful value for money F1 project back in its own day, joining forces with the smallest team on the current grid. But opposites do attract, and as we'll explain in more detail, what's under discussion is going to be a mutually beneficial arrangement. First, let's establish what kind of F1 return this will be. Despite some speculation that it could be a large-scale sponsorship deal with a technical element, in the style of Alfa Romeo paying for Sauber to be rebranded in recent seasons, our understanding is it's not going to be quite like that. Instead, it's about what Haas wants and needs. So the focus has been on striking a deal to work with Toyota Gazoo Racing Europe and use its excellent engineering centre in Cologne, the base of the failed F1 project that Toyota invested so much money into. TGR Europe is now home to Toyota's World Endurance Championship team, created the hybrid engine used in the Yaris World Rally Championship car, and is its European customer motorsport base. So is this going to be a fresh Toyota F1 works deal? Not quite. Even though that European centre is how Toyota goes about its motorsport programs these days. But it does mean Haas would be working with a proper Toyota subsidiary and, more importantly, a top-class organisation. Toyota was a cutting-edge F1 team in facilities, if not results, 15 years ago, and the Cologne Centre has a huge amount of other high-specification equipment available, as well as plenty of quality personnel. Haas wants to tap into the technical and human resources there, as team boss Io Komatsu recognises where its limitations lie in terms of facilities and personnel, while Toyota wants a good business arrangement that allows it to get closer to F1 again. This is to enhance its technologies and working processes and help evaluate future possibilities in Grand Prix racing, like putting its driver Ryo Hirakawa in McLaren's Young Driver program, which sparked speculation last year there could be a McLaren-Toyota collaboration at some point. Especially as where McLaren's concerned, there's been some talk about Toyota potentially working with McLaren's automotive arm. But focusing on Haas, senior Toyota staff have been present at multiple F1 races this year, including the most recent Grand Prix at Silverstone, while Komatsu visited the Toyota garage at the Le Mans 24 Hours while on a break with his family. A full F1 program of its own is not thought to be a serious Toyota proposition in the short term, but a growing team partnership or a full-scale technical relationship is more likely. That would still be something that comes together slowly. Whatever deal can be struck with Haas may start out as a technical alliance, most likely an exclusive one so other F1 teams can't use TGR Europe's facilities at the same time in the future, and gradually evolve into something more immersive if it suits both parties. That's still unlikely to mean a works engine, given Toyota's focus is entirely on hydrogen projects for at least the next 5 years, and Haas's entire model is based around a Ferrari technical tie-up that includes an engine supply, and that's not likely to end anytime soon, as any Toyota affiliation wouldn't be on the cards if it didn't have Ferrari's blessing. That might be different if this was a much bigger Toyota collaboration, but even though Toyota buying into or completely taking over Haas would be a fascinating development for F1, it's not thought to be something that Toyota is seriously evaluating, nor something Haas owner Gene Haas wants to do. What's on the cards has to be considered a soft return at best, but you can see why it appeals so much to the Japanese manufacturer after what happened last time it was in F1. Considering the expectations and the potential, the Toyota F1 project stands as one of the biggest failures in F1 history, never finishing higher than 4th in the championship, something it only achieved once in 8 seasons from 2002 to 2009. Toyota's huge budget, accomplished personnel and superb facilities amounted to a grand total of 3 pole positions and 13 podium finishes, but no wins in 139 attempts. At the heart of Toyota's failings was underestimating the demands of F1. It judged its original recruitment incorrectly. There were some people with F1 experience, but not enough, and they recognised the weaknesses of a team that had carried over many personnel from the rallying and sports car programs. It was also seen as too corporate and wedded to the Toyota way, a comprehensive philosophy well honed for its more conventional road car and associated products, but not compatible with the speed of decision making demanded in F1. Toyota never worked out how to gel its headquarters in Japan with the Cologne facility in Germany and the trackside team wherever the F1 calendar took it, so communication was compromised. Personnel were ultimately left feeling constrained, and inevitably these problems were reflected in both the chassis and the engine departments. Toyota also had a tendency to point the finger at drivers when it came to underperformance. All of that amounted to a failure to justify the expense and couldn't save the F1 program from being cut at the end of 2009 during the global financial crisis. With the stillborn TF110 a great last example of Toyota's inefficiency, as it spent a load of money on a 2010 car that would never race. So whatever this Haas tie-up evolves into, it already has the makings of something much more cost-effective than the first Toyota F1 involvement. In the very first instance, this is going to be a sound business decision for TGR Europe. It is a massive state-of-the-art engineering facility that alongside motorsport programs is effectively a standalone technical enterprise, and even though it gets well utilised through various motorsport clients, the absence of the F1 program it was originally created for inevitably means some stuff hasn't been at full capacity, and it doesn't even have McLaren as a wind tunnel customer anymore. But if this turns out to be a toe-in-the-water exercise before pursuing bigger opportunities at Haas, maybe even with the Toyota name properly attached, then Toyota's prospects will depend entirely on what lessons have been learned from its first attempt at cracking F1. So why would Haas be so interested in pursuing something with a brand that's not ready to pile into F1 as a full works team? Well, the fundamental structure of Haas itself hasn't changed since it first entered F1 in 2016. It's owned by Gene Haas with the team headquarters in Kannapolis in North Carolina, but most of the team's work is done in Europe, where it has an operations base in Banbury in the UK and a design hub at Ferrari's Maranello campus in Italy. Furthermore, it uses Italian company Dallara for much of its manufacturing work, while its technical partnership with Ferrari gives it a supply of all the mechanical parts the regulations allow. It's complicated, but was effective at getting the team a foothold in F1 at a time when new teams either failed or never even got off the ground. But Haas is now closer to maxing out the potential of its existing setup. It has done a great job this year to re-emerge as a regular point scorer, and aside from the Monaco double wipeout, when Haas has failed to score, it's usually been close to the top 10, finishing 11th 5 times. A big part of this has been making the car easier on the Pirelli tyres than last year's tyre.
Thanks to Nico
Mature, and crucially, it's proved it can develop the car well in season, which has not historically been a strong point. At Silverstone, a new floor and side pod upgrade helped to make the Haas clearly the 4th strongest car. And while that won't always be the case at every track, it remains arguably the most consistent midfielder in terms of results. Key to this has been the strong aerodynamic development, and Komatsu believes improved communication has been central to this. It's basically brought Haas back to its full potential, punching above its weight in a competitive midfield. But the Toyota deal would allow Haas to evolve further. For example, if Haas wants, it could stop using Ferrari's Maranello wind tunnel and use the Toyota facility, or have a reduced design presence in Italy. So Ferrari customer status would remain, and so would a supply of components, but some physical closeness to Ferrari would be lost as engineering support is sought elsewhere. The Ferrari wind tunnel is plenty good enough, but Toyota's facility has 2 high-spec ones that have often been used by F1 teams. McLaren's only recently moved into its own new wind tunnel in Woking, with much of the work that facilitated its return to the front in F1 done in Germany. Komatsu has admitted that Haas doesn't always fully understand the correlation between the Ferrari wind tunnel and the track, but has also stressed that's not necessarily down to the tunnel itself. But the Toyota facility isn't just about the wind tunnel opportunity. It also has driver-in-loop simulator facilities and plenty of manufacturing kit, including presumably the chance to make wind tunnel models on site. This could help to accelerate not only the development rate, but also the time to market of parts between design sign-off and getting them onto the car. While Haas's Dallara partnership is something that's expected to continue for now, Toyota may be something that could come to surpass what Dallara offers, maybe making Toyota the long-term technical partner Haas turns to on a bigger scale.
And maybe Haas will sell its team to Toyota. Could that be something?
Given Komatsu's promotion to team principal coincided with the real problem Haas had in getting its UK and Italian bases to work together effectively, adding another site in Germany into the mix would add yet another layer of complexity. But it could unleash new potential too, and that is sorely needed. We mentioned Haas's limitations earlier, and Komatsu is acutely aware of the team's low ceiling. This is F1's smallest team, and if all 10 perform to their respective maximums, Haas would be last. It's 9th on average over the 8 full seasons it has been on the grid. That's not a reflection of the individuals involved, simply the reality of a convoluted structure, the dependency on others, and an owner who has not invested in the team enough since it was created. You may remember back to the start of the year when longtime team boss Günther Steiner's shock exit was revealed that this is all part of the concern we've had for Haas for a long time. What it has achieved so far this year has surprised people like Komatsu, let alone us. It's done a good job and surpassed several teams that are underperforming. Haas, in its current form, has no business beating Renault's Works team or Audi back to Sauber. But it cannot rely on others swinging and missing forever, and even if it did, that would consign Haas to a future in which aiming for 7th in the championship is probably the best it can do. That is not particularly ambitious and not fair on those involved who want to push on for more success.
True.
Trouble is, for a long time, Gene Haas himself hasn't really understood that, and he still might not, for the suggestion is that Gene thinks his team should be finishing 5th or 6th this season, which, as far as we can see, is based on nothing tangible at all. But there are clear signs that the Komatsu era might be drawing a bit more out of the team owner again. There's investment coming in much needed areas like the factory and the team's hospitality unit at Tracks, which is a relic of its original 2016 entry and isn't fit for purpose in hosting modern day guest levels. Those might sound like they have wildly different levels of importance, but they are both significant examples of underinvestment. While Komatsu's clearly pushing for this Toyota agreement, it needs to have Gene's blessing. That he looks willing to give that is important, and if it then yields a tangible gain, it may even open his eyes further to the limitations the team has been battling with. Any kind of alliance with Toyota, whether it's initially a customer-supplier one or a more cooperative relationship, or eventually something even bigger, it's going to reflect very well on Haas. The credibility boost is significant, and it should aid performance as well if used in the right way. If those things happen, it addresses a lingering question. What's the point of owning this team when the owner in question seemingly isn't committed to making it more successful?
True.
Greenlighting any kind of Toyota alliance and being the first port of call should such a grand
I mean, he still should sell the team, even if he wants to be in Formula 1. This season could be the last time Haas will be this good. So sell the team when you're on the top. To probably Toyota, that would be something.
Manufacturer want to expand this return in the future would emphatically answer that.
Yeah, that we have the race opinion about the Toyota's surprise potential F1 return explained. Let's see, do they have anything more? Now we're soon done with this. But I mean, that will be probably Haas' future. Toyota buying them up. And hopefully do a great comeback, and then let's see, Flopper Magnenta. And hopefully not make the history repeat itself. And doing everything bad, everything like they did the first time they arrived. But I hope more Alpine get bought up by Geely in China, so Lotus can become do a comeback in Formula 1 again. Flopper Magnenta Orange. Then we have a Chinese team and Japanese team. Two maybe. Wait. Aston Martin? No, that will not be a Japanese team. Okay, so Haas, if they become more Toyota, then it will be like the Honda team before they stopped being a Japanese team. Magnenta Orange. Nice. Blue, black, red, purple, light gray, yellow, gray, brown, cyan, light blue, white, orange. Nice. Many 10, 12. And how many do we need? 10, 14. So 2 more. Time for the glitter. Light blue, red, light blue. Nice. Light blue, red. And before I remember, forgets it. 1938 minus 2. 1939 is a better year. Lime, Magenta. Do we have a, yeah, we have a Magenta. Let's move everything down. And then we need a cob. And do we have any more cob? Nope. Then snooper. Then we have spotty. Stripey. Then we have sunstreak. Okay, how many will be minus 6? 15. So 5 more and then we are somewhat good. More than that will be less fun. Light blue, purple. Light blue, purple. Cob, light blue. Cob grey and cob pink, cob blue. Yeah, well, light blue, purple. Boring. Cob cyan. Cob cyan, Betty red, cob white, cob purple, cob lime, cob orange, cob cyan, cyan blue. And that one we also have. Nice. Cob green. Magenta. Cob green. Cob green. Let's see. Light blue snooper. Light gray. Light blue pink. One more chest for the fucking bigger collection. Snooper. But what color was it? Not green, cobalt green. God damn it. Light blue. Light blue. Huh. Okay, light blue orange. Do we have a light blue orange? And that we have. Light blue orange, light blue orange. Spotty Magnanta. Magnanta lime. Okay, nice. Magnanta lime. Spotty Magnanta. Spotty Meg. Magenta. Spotty. How many do we have left? 7, 9, 12, 18. Yeah, hopefully no more copies. Green cyan. Purple cyan. Stripy purple. Stripy blue. Stripy light blue. Stripy orange. Stripy purple. Purple cyan. Okay, stripy cyan this time. Cyan orange. Cyan orange. Okay, nice. Lime gray. No. Sunstreak red orange. Light gray, green. Yes, red, pink. Wait, red, pink. Okay, one more. Red, sun streak, red, sun streak, red, sun streak. Yes. So minus 18, 20, 22, 24, minus 2, 22. Hey, that's not bad. Minus 22. Let's do the fun stuff now. Look at all the fishes again. Betty, yellow. Yellow, red. Betty, orange. Orange, lime. Slime. Blockfish, pink. Blockfish, pink. Pink, cyan. Green. Blockfish, green. Green, brown. Light blue. Light blue, lime. Okay. Cyan. Cyan green. Cyan lime. So we had cyan lime and cyan green. Interesting. Red. Primely red. Red, cyan. Primely brown. Brown, magenta. Blindly red again. Red, yellow. Blindly orange. Nope. Brightly orange. Orange green. Grey, light grey. Dash a grey. Fuck. Is this on this side now? Yeah, there were. Dash a grey. Grey, light grey. Pink, orange, flopper. Brown, orange. Flopper, brown, orange. Flopper, brown. Flopper, cyan. Flopper, brown, orange. Lime. Lime magenta. Cob light blue. Cob light blue. Light blue purple. Cob cyan. Cyan blue. Snooper light blue. Light blue orange. Green cyan. Purple cyan. Lime gray. Red orange. Stripy purple. Stripy blue. Wait, stripy purple, wasn't it? Yeah, stripy purple. Blockfish purple, stripy purple. Stripy purple cyan. Okay, nice. 18, 20, 22, 24, minus 2, 22. 19, 16. Minus 22. 22, 30, 38. Yes, 19, 16. So we went plus 15 fishes today. Nice. So let's go and place them down and then we end the stream. And then tomorrow the practice 1 for Formula 1, qualifying for Formula 3 and Formula 2. Then practice 2 will happen tomorrow. And hopefully Mercedes will be back at being bad. Okay, Betty yellow red, Betty orange lime, Blockfish pink cyan, Blockfish green brown, Blockfish light blue lime, Brownie cyan green, Brownie cyan lime, Brownie red cyan, Brownie brown magenta, Brownie red yellow, Brownie orange green, Dasher green light gray, Flopper pink orange, Flopper brown orange. Little lime magenta, Cob light blue purple, Cob cyan blue, Snooper light blue orange, Spotted green cyan, Stripy purple cyan, Stripy lime grey, Sunstreak red orange. Yeah, but hopefully the weather is warm. Mercedes will hopefully they will have a so bad practice, qualifying and everything and race. So all the copion after Austria and Great Britain will just vanish. Probably for not the people that are copium, but they have less to talk about. Oh my god, fuck me. Fucking Cherry Blossom. Hi. Yeah, I will buy that. Give me some. What the fuck are you going away for? No, don't fucking leave. Oh shit, we need. At least we got the blossom. Yeah, you are annoying. Yeah, I want your leads also. Yeah, shut up. Wait, the fuck, didn't you? You at least dropped one lead. Okay. This is somewhat nice ending. We finally got some good stuff. Yeah, this one should also be placed there. We need a boat. Oh shit, we need that also. Boat. No boat in that one, boat in this one, yes. That's at least one. Fuck, this is annoying. Can we find the last lead? One more chicken for the chicken collection. Well, we got at least one more lead. Oh, this one. Here, where are we? Yeah, but let's end it. Let's see, T. No, you? T. 1916. 1916. We need to write that down. 1916. 1916. 1916. Yeah, 1916. Okay, we're done. Yeah, hopefully Mercedes will be still bad in Formula 1. And hopefully McLaren and McLaren and Red Bull will be up there again. But that we will see tomorrow after the practice stuff. And hopefully that will be true, but that we'll know then.